Okay, I'd like to welcome you all to our November 12th meeting. Would you please stand and join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Church and state, but that's okay.
Motion for the bills. Any problem with the bills? Any motion? And also, I would just like to also include the Illing Engineering Services. This is one that came in that I didn't get to Karen. It was for $1,125, so that if we could prove that as well.
Yeah.
And that's within,
That was the
that's within his
with the
contract?
contracted rate, yeah.
I will move it.
All second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And who looked over the bills this month?
I did. And I believe it was, who else?
Laura, you did it.
Yeah, I did
Yeah.
with and with,
Yeah.
with Wes.
Okay,
Yeah,
wanted to make sure.
Nobody ever.
Water and sewer report is there. Correspondence, just had from Gary Amberbach asking, did you put that in all the board members' boxes? Okay.
Say that again?
You guys should have all gotten something in your box for the, from Gary on the, he was requesting the board to approve by resolution the appointment of Mr. Dave Sparling as acting building inspector from December 20th through
Yes.
December 30th to be compensated at the pay rate of $25 an hour. It's just in the event that Jocelyn can't handle something or whatever when Gary's out of
But he's
town.
gonna be out of town, yes.
And actually, later on when we get to that, I'm just gonna make the recommendation that we do it for, that he would be appointed anytime that Gary's unavailable or Jocelyn would be unavailable. So, to
As
fill
long,
in.
I would say
So-
that's fine, Carol, as long as the board knows, because if not, we could have a, you know, if Gary wasn't around a lot, that could be an issue.
Well, yeah, no, of course, Gary
Yeah.
reports to me and
Yeah.
Gary's, I don't think Gary's ever gone.
Well, I just want to make that clear.
You
Yeah.
never had a, you have a tissue, do you?
I do not, sorry.
From Talbot.
Okay. Announcements, Santa Express. For all the children that live in Narrowsburg and surrounding areas, I'll be stopping by the old school to visit you aboard the Santa Express on Saturday, December 7th, 2013 at 8 p.m. I'll be bringing Rudolph, Frosty, Gingerbread, Mr. Claus, Chrissy Mouse, our Snow Queen, and Teddy Bear along with me. My elves will have some goodies from Mrs. Claus to hand out as well. Make sure you have your letters, signs, and anything else that you'd like to me to take back to the North Pole ready for my arrival. And don't forget your dancing shoes. I'm looking forward to seeing you all again this year. Make sure you stay good and listen to your parents. Santa is always watching and knows when you're naughty and nice. See you all very soon, Santa Claus. So Santa Express will be in town.
I thought that was from you. It's good. That's not such a big deal.
Oh, thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, we're gonna put off Silver Renaissance? Okay, Renaissance is not available, they're not here yet, so.
Put it off for a couple,
To-
until
yeah.
the second.
Until
So-
when?
Till when?
Until they get here, a
We're
couple of
just
people
changing
get
the
here.
order.
Oh.
We're just changing the order.
I thought it was not going to be tonight or something.
No, it'll be tonight. Now we have a presentation by, these good folks from NYU, Maureen Cisco, Mary Beth Egan, and Sarah Altreid. Welcome, and thank you for
Yes,
coming.
thank you. Good evening. We are from NYU Environmental Medicine in Tuxedo, New York, and I came to see Carol a few weeks ago to speak to her about our program and what we do. We have an outreach education where we come into the community and discuss with you issues that maybe concern you in the environment or health. In this case, it's fracking, and which is, again, next year, 2014, Cuomo's gonna make his decision for New York State. Another reason why I spoke to Carol is because I was born here in Narrowsburg, well, in Calhoun actually, went to kindergarten in Narrowsburg. My grandparents were, maternal grandparents were the Goodamotes, had a boarding home up the road. And my paternal grandparents are the Hazards, live down here in School Street. And so it's really a trip down memory lane for me to be here as well. So what we have, I did not expect this type of turnout, but we do have folders put together to explain what our program is and what we would like to do for the community. One of which primarily is a survey, which would give us an idea of what these concerns might be. I have certainly enough copies, samples anyway, for you to see what that would be involved. In terms of, and the goal really is to get the community involved in this type of thing. Town hall meetings, what are a couple of the other things that we
have town hall focus groups, surveys, anything that we get of interest to you, we would let you know and commingle the information and then feed it back to the community. More or less what we try to do is to engage you, get your concerns and bring it back to you and have discussion groups. And from there, move into the environmental concerns that you might have. So it's really just an information sessions and hear what you have, feed it back to you, and hopefully have more conversations as to, what's coming down the pike.
We will also be taking water samples if you would be interested in taking samples from your own home, your wells. This information, again, is all part of this survey and information gathering before and then possibly after, depending upon how the community goes, even up the river, for example.
So the Oak Group would be more of a control because
Right.
seeing as there's no fracking in this community, we would if once we move forward and we start talking to you, we would ask your participation and maybe taking some water samples from you as a control group and then seeing what happens from there. So, and obviously what we would be is a resource for you. Any questions, concerns that you have, we would hopefully work with us. Anything else, Maureen?
Did you have, were you able to look over the material that I sent? Did you have any
No,
questions
yeah,
after
no,
I
yeah,
left?
no, that was very good, yeah.
Um,
You might wanna explain that you're doing this across the river as well?
yes, and also, over in Pennsylvania as well. It'll be the same type of program, just getting into the community and seeing where, how everybody feels at this point before this goes forward. In either state, I believe there's a moratorium as well right now across the river, am I right?
It's a DRBC
Yes,
moratorium.
that's
It's not
it, right, that's the
It's not a
Delaware.
statewide moratorium.
Right, that's the river basin did that,
Right.
right, yeah. And, we don't know where that's going as well, though, is that right? In terms,
Nobody
right,
knows.
right, exactly, yeah. And I just lost
Yeah,
my,
we understand it's a potentially passionate subject with people, so we're not going to go so much pro, con. It was strictly here to engage you, to find out how you feel, to see where the passions are leading, and then move forward with the samples to see if maybe we can get some information on the scientific end of it. We're not pro, we're not con. We're strictly here as observers, and again, to work with the communities in the outreach section. So I know, again, that once we say fracking, sometimes we see little red flags go up. So again, we're not taking sides on it. We're strictly looking at it as it's strictly scientific and also to get your feelings. Does that make sense?
yeah. And also to see if the community would be willing to, it's a letter of participation. A letter of partnership from the town board, that they are allowing us to come into the community in this way. Recognize that we will be in the community in this way. We may be in your churches,
Libraries.
Your libraries.
markets, so we're not talking in,
town hall, this type of thing,
be recognizable.
right?
What's
Or-
your goal?
Well, the goal is, again, this is the before and after type effects, and it's really, this is actually nationwide. It's not just NYU that's doing this as well, but it's to assess communities' environmental issues and their needs and their concerns before something occurs itself. I mean, you could see in even the survey questions, it's really a broad range of questions in terms of energy and not just fracking alone. And then the surveys, I mean, this information can be printed can be printed. All this information will be available to the whole community, including the results of your well samples, water samples.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
You're asking the town board to endorse your program,
Uh,
right?
Well, I don't know
Isn't
if
that what you just
endorsements are
asked
right.
for?
I think the letter of partnership is saying that they recognize that we're in the community.
It's more of a letter of cooperation,
yeah.
just,
Right.
because this is not, it's not a true study where we're going in and looking for, like I said, pros and cons. We're looking to engage the community and get some information of how you people feel about what's coming down the pike. How do you feel now about energy? How do you feel about the possibility or the probability of whatever comes down? So it's more of an emotional gut reaction we're trying to gauge, and we want to make sure that you're aware that if we're asking your community questions, that you also agree that, well, there's something you might want to find out also.
But it's a fracking issue. I mean, what other environmental concerns do we have?
Well, that's the issue
Well,
we're addressing now, but if
right.
there's something comes, the sample survey is very general. So there might be other concerns that people may have that we will, come bring to your attention or
Right, we
even
have
to
a Superfund
themselves.
site in town as well.
Yeah,
So,
that's-
Oh, okay.
That'd be my only concern would be the Superfund site.
That's all done now. That's all cleaned up.
That's
and-
not done.
Yes,
saying
yes,
it's-
yeah.
They're still
yes.
in there.
No, they're not. The contractors are done, the apparatus, the equipment is all in there, it's functioning. And they're volatilizing all the volatile organics right now, so that
Still
construction's all
monitoring.
done, yeah.
Okay. And that's something, again, the survey can, address those concerns if you want, or focus on something more specific. But again, we're just looking more to let you know whether we're a resource. We're a university that works, and specifically with community outreach.
And that's the other thing too, we also have a wide range of resources available to us in terms of information that you may not have available to you as well, and we can provide that information for you. And again, this is not an agenda here. This is to get out there in the communities and see how you guys are feeling about some hot topics right now going on in the environment,
You are
both
in
New
our
York and
backyard.
Pennsylvania.
Our site is in Tuxedo, New York, right in Orange County.
And now, how long is the project gonna be for?
It's a year.
1 year? And the way you're gonna go about questionnaires, is it through the mail? Is it through phone? Is it through what?
Well, generally what we do is it's either postcard mailings,
Right.
it's surveys where we actually engage people, right? But the survey, I gave it to you, it's a quick survey. Town hall meetings, right, focus groups. You tell us where a good place for everybody to meet, and then we sit down, and we could do the surveys at one time. We've been into communities in Garfield, New Jersey, another Superfund site that's ongoing for us as well. And we get into those churches and
The study
They-
itself was, I don't know if anybody was familiar with Garfield, there was a Superfund site where chromium was released from an electroplating company. And there were genuine concerns in the community that they had been exposed to certain levels. So we came in and we helped them to find out through the sample surveys and talking with the community to see exactly where the interests were, where the concerns were. And now we're working with them, getting toenail clippings to see if in fact that some people may have had more exposure than was deemed probable. So again, only way we were able to do this was by talking to the people, getting the surveys, seeing how interested and concerned they were about specific environmental concerns. And again, fracking seems to be on the hot button item.
Now, are you aware that there was about 2 public hearings that were done in 2011, one in September, one in October, where about 100 people from Tusten stood up and everything was transcribed? There was a stenographer here. Are you aware of that?
No.
And what was that, about the fracking or?
Yeah.
Right, it was, specifically, it was about our zoning,
Zoning.
Article 14.
which was being retooled, but there was an article called Article 14 within the zoning, which really dealt with high industrial uses, not fracking per se, but basically high-impact industrial uses. And there was 2 public hearings, one in September of 11 and one in October of 11. And we had a stenographer, so I'm sure, you're welcome to take a
Yeah,
look at
great.
all of those
Appreciate that.
people that had spoken pro and con against it.
The survey that we have, I think, is less, it's more of a general, how do you feel? More than the specifics about the way that the fracking is done, the chemicals released, et cetera. It's to gauge, again, a very general outline as to what's happening. that would be helpful to know, though, how people felt at that particular point where that information was
I'll give you
released.
my email at the end of the meeting.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
As an NYU alumni, just curious.
Welcome.
Washington Square University. Is this funded by NYU, or are you doing this in conjunction with another governmental agency?
Yes, we are, this is a grant given to us by NIH and,
Excuse me, who's NIH?
National Institute of Health.
Okay.
And we partnership with Rutgers as well, yeah. And they are doing similar, what we are doing as well, but they're concentrating in a different area than we are.
What is the,
Same thing though.
when they wrote the grant, what is the purpose? I mean, what's the ultimate outcome of your studies?
Well, ideally, what you would like is to, so you have your samplings prior to fracking, and then to get on the frack site, right, and get those samples, and then you get your post-fracking materials. So then you can see exactly what's in these, is in the water, right, their backflow water that they're working with, right? From there, then you can, the idea is to gauge the environmental impact from that.
Now, I'm an environmental
The
business,
aims
just
are
so you
right
know.
here.
Good.
When you take a sample, you're saying, asking people to bring in samples.
No,
Okay, didn't you just say you want people to bring in samples, water samples at some point?
no, I would go to the home,
Okay,
yeah.
and so.
I would collect a sample.
And,
yeah,
okay, so you're certified, because I know when they collect samples from my facilities, they have
Yes.
to be certified.
We're trained.
Okay.
Yes, yes. As a matter of
In
fact.
drawing your baseline study here, you'll be correlating your figures with the New York State Department of Health water figures and then National Park Service's ongoing testing in the river that's been going on a weekly basis.
You know, Carolyn and I spoke about that briefly too at the meeting, and that information, that's public information as well, right?
Well, that would help you in your baseline study.
Absolutely,
correlating everything.
absolutely, that's right, yeah,
So all you're looking for is a baseline study,
that's right.
and that's all, nothing else. You're not entertaining any public opinion or anything else, it's
We don't do that.
You're getting a
That's
scientific
not
survey
what-
and that's it.
absolutely,
And then,
yeah.
again, the communication communities feelings about certain issues,
Yeah.
and et cetera.
As scientists, you know, you don't hold an opinion either way, you know, it is, facts speak for themselves, and, yep,
To
right.
add to what Norm said, the DRBC is also doing extensive water monitoring. So it would be worthwhile
You have a
to
number
check
of
out
sources.
that agency's work.
Yes, you know, I was doing some research myself, background research before this meeting, or even speaking with Carol, is that there has been an extensive amount of samples, I believe, or studies that's been done in this area as well, yeah.
You might also wanna go back to the New York State, the original samplings that were taken up and down the river when the landfill was open, and the findings of that, so you have what was there originally, so you know what you might wanna be targeting for. Gee, I don't know if I
Thank you,
submitted
right.
my paperwork or not, but there should be something still with the New York State Attorney General.
Right, this Cortez's.
Yeah.
Cortez
Yeah.
landfill, there's large heavy metals and other things, cyanide, arsenic, that family,
You still have the Barnes landfill down in Berryville,
yeah.
discharging into the
Barrington,
river.
Barryville,
Yeah.
discharging into the
Dis-
river?
Yes,
Is my secretary writing
Downstream
this
from
down?
us, yeah.
yeah.
Right.
The next township down.
Yeah, so the whole area is not as clean as you would think in some areas, it's still some residuals.
And that's a landfill per se, was
Yeah, yeah, it was
Correct.
closed, the Lagori's closed it, 2003.
It's a closed landfill. It's monitored by the DEC. They had an escrow account to mitigate the issues with that landfill. The escrow account has now run out of money. They can't pinpoint who the real owner is, so it's been sitting there.
And just
Um,
discharging.
It's discharging. The last studies they did, the parts that they were finding, they did not feel was a health hazard. But something needs to be done because right now it's just sitting there and there's no money to mitigate anything.
Carol, just so you know, those studies, I'm in touch with the DEC, they stopped testing that water in 2003. And Mr. Lagori was held on felony, Federal Clean Water Act, the Clean Water Act, he was
yeah, yeah.
held on a felony account for the discharge.
What's his name?
Mr. Lagori was, he's passed away now. Yeah.
My recommendation is, since that is in a different township, even though it's an adjoining township, you got your pen out, right? What you wanna do is you wanna call tomorrow Travis Odell, who's the resource specialist at the Upper Delaware Council, The number is 845-252-3022, and ask for Travis. And if you want to get as much information as you possibly can on the Barnes landfill, he'll be more than happy to accommodate you, all right?
And this is the type of thing we're talking about as well, right? Where we can each help each other, you know, as we work our way through, you know, this outreach program that we have in mind as well. If the community would like to, you know, get involved and do these surveys, you know, we would certainly appreciate it. You know, the cooperation, if you'd like to participate, you know.
Now, most of the a lot of the people in the town are on town water, so they wouldn't really need a sample, would they?
Well, that's within the hamlet.
Well,
So I'm just saying.
that's
Yeah.
in the village.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying to you.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so that water's already been
But
tested.
that's okay though, you know, it's not just, it's one of the things that we can do for you, is take water sampling.
Right.
Yeah. We can take air sampling if that would be an issue down the road as well. Yeah. Or any stream that you want us to take a sample from.
So you're looking basically tonight for a letter of partnership
Yes.
for us to approve that. So
Yeah.
I would move that we go ahead and send the letter of partnership.
I'll
Is there a
second that.
second? Tony? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I don't know enough about them. I'm going to abstain, or actually I'll say no.
Okey-doke. Motion approved. Thank you very much for coming.
Okay, thank you so much.
And we left you
By the way,
information as well, right?
Yes, yep.
And Bill,
Great
is
time to have
excellent.
Oh, that one was dead.
Thank you, I hope to see you all soon.
Yeah, I think that one was dead.
Oh, it
What's
was,
that?
it was
That was
yours.
yours, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
These are gonna be excellent.
Okay, thank you very
We'll see
much.
in a couple weeks.
Okay, yep, just touch base, yep.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Safe travels.
Also, so I got your business card as well, so I'll send that as well.
Just so excited that I saw you. I recognize you need your left.
Really?
Oh, I did. It's just face. Yeah.
Still have my same face.
Yes, you have your same face on.
Yeah.
Oh, you can.
One here.
Hello, thanks for showing up.
Great, and then I'll have it. Thank you so much, appreciate your time.
Take care. Safe trip back. Okay, Shane, are you ready? Okay. Now we have a presentation by Sullivan Renaissance to the Tusten Beautification Group. Narrowsburg Beautification Group, sorry.
Thank you. Hi, how's everybody doing tonight?
Very good, how you doing?
How are you?
Feel weird because I'm putting my back to somebody no matter how I stand, but, so thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight and just give a very brief presentation. My name is Helen Budrock. I work for Sullivan Renaissance, and you're probably familiar that Sullivan Renaissance is a program of the Gary Foundation. We provide grants to community groups and organizations to do beautification throughout the county. And it's part of a county-wide competition of sorts. So I was here last year about this time presenting the Golden Feather Award to the Narrowsburg Beautification Group, which is the top prize of $25,000 that we award every year. This year, I'm happy to present to the Narrowsburg Beautification Group. They won out of the 45 or so projects that we fund annually throughout the county. The Narrowsburg Beautification Group won the best overall showing of flowers throughout the entire county. So,
Awesome.
I just wanted to read briefly what the judges had to say and then invite some of the volunteers from the beautification group who worked so hard to keep Narrowsburg looking the way it does. There we go. Knew I was gonna lose it. Modern technology, right?
Great until the battery dies.
I know, right?
Bring back the dial phone.
I know, right? Just had it, darn it.
Ours dies too,
Hang on.
and just takes time.
Pulled it up from the website.
That's another agenda.
Well, never mind. I lost it. I had it saved on my, little computer phone
Well, you have it in your
here.
memory, you have it in your
I know, I
memory,
wish I had it
don't
in my
you?
memory.
This set, good
They basically said that you had the best flowers, annuals, perennials, the presentation, the planters were meticulously maintained, and they really enjoyed all the different colors and textures and everything that you had presented.
And then that three-letter word, wow.
And the wow factor,
Yeah.
right. So that earns the Narrowsburg Beautification Group $5,000 this year that they can add to their coffers to put back, into the community. It doesn't have to be used for additional beautification. It can be used for, other community purposes, so that's always good. So I'd like to invite up some of the volunteers and take a picture and present a plaque of some of the beautiful flowers in Narrowsburg, and this is meant to be sort of hung up and displayed with the other award plaques over the years. I don't know if they were displayed at Town Hall or at the library, but it's it'll eventually form sort of a gallery of sorts of all of your awards over the years. So we have Jane Lugsinger, we have Madeline Wooten, we have Susan Clickus, and we have Wanda Gangle, and Linda Slocum came in, right? Oh, there you are, Linda. I know I saw you. So come on up. Don't be shy. Did I forget anybody? Come on up. Oh, come on. Come on.
Come on up.
That's it. Don't be shy.
Hard work.
Come on, you've been part of it long enough.
Is Barry here? No, Barry, absolutely.
Here, you guys hold this.
Any other Main Street
Scooch over, scooch this way. Sorry. Right? There you go.
Get a nice group photo here.
Come up and get the money.
Come on down.
Come on, Barry.
You're the
joining
next
group whether you like it
contestant.
or not.
On the Price is Right. So there you go. All right. So thank you very much to all of the volunteers on behalf of Sullivan Renaissance for all of your hard work. We really do appreciate it. And I'm sure the town board does too.
Job
So
well
thank
done.
you. Did you guys want to say anything before you move on?
I would
Or?
just like to, once again, we knew about this and congratulated them when they won, and thank you to the beautification group. All of you actually do a very nice job for the town. Excellent, and thank you to Sullivan Renaissance and to you, Helen, for the program, and without these funds, we probably wouldn't be as beautiful as we actually are, so we really appreciate it. We always love to see you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
congratulations, good deal.
Next year, we're planting them on the underpass.
That's it.
There you go.
Bernie, that'll be your project.
I'm planting you, Bernie. You need a few more like
Yeah.
that.
That didn't sound right, Eileen.
Maybe planting me.
Okay, division reports. Highway was emailed to you. Glenn is out of town.
Carol, let me just bring up a few constituents, quite a few constituents came to me, and I need to speak to Glenn, and, this can wait till the next town board meeting, but apparently we hired a new fella on the town highway. However, his application was received, I believe, 2 years ago.
Correct.
So I don't believe, we need some direction. I don't understand why, we didn't go back out and re-advertise that position, and maybe a local person, because this other fellow, I understand, was out of Beach Lake, Pennsylvania.
I had asked Glenn that very question. I had actually talked to him beforehand when I knew that the other gentleman had resigned, and we were going to, I was gonna call a special meeting and then
Yeah.
advertise.
Right.
But then Glenn had called the county personnel office and was directed that he could pull from the old applications, and it's not, the board doesn't have a say in who we hire. It's
it's gotta be a-
highway
I understand
superintendent's
that.
discretion.
But as a protocol, 2 years ago, to have someone make an application, and then I know there's some local guys that are looking for some work, and, it's a shame we didn't go back out and re-advertise that position, and maybe somebody locally could have picked it up.
Well, anybody that has passed these tests or passed, there is a certain length of time that they have pull these applications and use them, just like any other job in a county.
2 years, Eileen's a long time.
2 years is a lot of those lists are 2 years, are lasted 2 years. Yeah.
Well, has anybody contacted NISATs or anybody to get an official opinion from the the New York State Association of Towns? All right, all right, let me do that and I'll report back.
Okey-doke, so highway, water and sewer, also, I have that here for you, because Dom emailed me right before the meeting, and he will not be able to make it either, he's not feeling well. Oh, sorry, there's 2 pages.
No, don't get crazy on it.
Second page.
Stop writing to yourself.
I answer myself.
We all get
Very
third
good.
page.
Yeah, I got second page.
No, 3rd page. I just printed this like right before, sorry.
Oh. I'm fed up setting up your printers.
I don't even need my glasses with this.
I have to put somebody's glasses on, I'm not sure they are.
Your third page.
There's
So-
some space we didn't have so many tables. Yes, I did.
Are we reading this?
No,
No, nobody.
no, I'm not gonna read it. If you have any questions, you can contact Dom during the week.
Oh, but it's 2 pages.
Building department, Gary?
For the month of October, conducted 19 construction-related inspections, 2 complaint-related inspections, issued 2 certificates of occupancy, 2 certificates of compliance, issued 9 building permits, including 1 for a new home, 2 for renovation, alteration, 1 deck, 1 demolition permit, 1 driveway permit, 1 mechanical permit, 1 pool permit, 1 roof replacement permit, and we did municipal searches, a total of 6. Received 1 complaint, issued 1 violation, 1 stop work order. We collected a total of $2,320.85 per month. That's it.
I'd like to address Gary. Gary, earlier this month, I, not as a town board person, but as a contractor, came to your office and asked to meet with you concerning some issues that other contractors in the town have had with the building department, yourself specifically. I asked to have a meeting with you and with these other contractors, and you said no. We would only have a meeting in front of the town, in front of, at a town board meeting, which I think is ridiculous. I would ask the board, I've got 2 pages of complaints from 3 different contractors about the Tusten Building Department, and these individuals say that they don't, these are local people living in this town that pay taxes in this town, that are good, hardworking people, and are having a real issue. Apparently, some contractors are required to have roof permits, and others aren't. There's been a report, and a report to you specifically in August, that a septic system was being installed within the town, and you said, I couldn't find it, it's not my problem. So if that's the case, a simple investigation would then cause you to file a violation, and that person wouldn't get a CO. And we all know how regulated septic systems are. So I would ask the board to have 2 people from this board and these contractors, and I myself, and I don't want to be as a board member, I want to be a contractor at this meeting, sit down with Gary and see if we can work out these issues, because this is pretty compelling to me. And it's a shame that our local contractors are having such a hard time with you, and it seems to be very discretionary and manipulative and discriminatory at points. The way you're enforcing the different laws with different contractors in this town, and it's not to be, I won't stand for it. So, the board, we need to have a meeting.
I think any of this should be taken up in executive session.
Why, it's not an employee
It's-
issue, it's an
it's-
issue with contractors, with our building department.
And it's an employee issue.
I'm not saying that he's doing anything wrong, I'm saying that we need to
You
sit around the
just
table.
charged him with things, Ned.
No. I am saying that as a contractor in this town, he's not enforcing the laws at the outset. From an outside, I think this needs to be discussed openly with the public, anybody who wants to attend this meeting. We need to have a meeting with the building department and get these things squared away. Executive session, and that the public's not involved, and these contractors may not be involved.
They may or may not be. How about we seek legal counsel and figure out what the best thing to do?
Why can't we just sit down and talk about it and see if we can square away these problems?
Because I'm not going to violate a law.
How's that?
because-
What law are you violating?
Gary's personnel record?
I'm not saying that he's doing anything criminally wrong, I'm saying that his interpretation of what's going on is not wrong.
Yeah.
I would almost say that, let me stop out of county personnel and ask them, if I get a decision out of Mrs. Hill,
Sure.
I'll make a point to make a run out, and I'll get that, and then we'll come back onto it.
Okay,
It's right on that borderline, and I'm,
yeah, I'm not
Can you
comfortable
get
discussing
that
this
in
in
writing,
public
please?
I'd
until
wanna
we
get
have
that
a
in
legal
writing.
opinion on it.
I'd like to go out there with you when you go there,
okay,
Norm.
we'll go together.
Yes.
Yeah, we can put forward your,
But she can give us a determination in
Yeah.
writing to the board.
Oh, I agree with that, but, we need a building department that's working with our local contractors. At the end of the day, not, there's no reason for that not to be happening, and it's a shame that we have local contractors that don't feel comfortable walking in your office.
But you're not suggesting that there's a double standard in the building department, are you? Or
I'm suggesting that there's some contractors are asked to get roofing permits and some aren't. There's a contractor that came from out of town who put a septic system in and didn't get a permit to do it.
Right, we addressed this in an executive session already.
And where did that
Some
go,
of that.
Carol?
I think sometimes people do things, and if they're not seen, or if nobody reports it in writing, he can't know everything.
He was reported while the septic system was being put in.
And he didn't see it.
Carol, a
Okay.
septic system was put in without a permit. Are you kidding me?
All I know is what I've been told.
I understand that, but then there should have been an investigation done, and it's a simple thing. I mean, if you put a septic system in, it's not like you just, you put a new hot water heater in. There's a pretty definitive display in the landscape around the house. That's just one issue. There's many issues. So we need to get to the bottom of this, and, whatever has to be done, but
Okay,
This
so
is
it's been
wrong.
decided that Norm will go to the county personnel department. I will also check with Jeffrey, and we'll get a determination on how to handle it.
wording on that, that's about what you wanna look for,
Pardon?
that's what I'll ask.
No, you don't have a tissue.
Well,
A tissue.
tissue.
I spilled my coffee. There's a leaker. I just need a wiper.
Yeah,
and then she's going to ask you more specific questions.
you wanna read out.
There's
what I had
evidently a
on the-
hole in this.
So I will ask Carroll Hill County personnel for an opinion on discussion the discussion should be an executive session. Question if
My handwriting's
Gary's rights
horrible.
and employee, as an employee are violated.
All right, let me just take it one step further. Let's say that there is no issue there as far as his rights aren't violated. Then would it be the spirit of the board then to have a meeting with our building inspector and the people that he regulates?
I can't see why not, if that's
Yeah.
the situation, then we should be open to
Yeah, we could do
anything
that, yes.
on that area.
Right.
If there's a
Yeah.
problem, I wanna get to the bottom of it.
There you go. That's what we want. We
Yeah.
want some cooperation.
Absolutely.
That's-
And for the record, I had offered for myself as a supervisor, as Gary's supervisor, and Gary to sit down with one of the contractors that had complained and was refused.
Well, I had 3 of them in my office, and they want to sit down with them, so.
That was after you offered. So, Assessor, Ken.
Aged and store applications have been coming in at a good rate. People tend to do them as snowbirds and go away for the winter, or they leave, so they have everything prepared. The tax roll was prepared because the final figures have to be in for the county to use with their rate calculations. And in this computer age, we're turning them in a month earlier than we used to when we did it manually. So it's all gone to Next Links for the generation of January tax bills. I attended the monthly Sullivan County Assessors Association meeting.
Okay, question for you on Star for the average bear. When does that due?
Start for whom?
For the average individual,
They
not
would like
seniors?
them in by December 31st, the contact by phone or email with that code, and if you haven't gotten the code to contact them, you get them. We have
Oh.
those flyers up there.
Okay, gotcha.
Most people were already mailed and have responded, so it wasn't too bad, so.
Okay. So were mailed individuals were mailed the flyers?
Right.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
The mailings went out the beginning of October, I believe,
Okay.
and
But that's going to everyone, right? Correct?
those that had basic star,
Right, okay.
not everyone.
Okay, right,
Enhanced Star didn't get it because they still deal through me through March 1st.
okay,
It was only for basic.
okay. Okay, very good, thank you.
Hey, Ken, let me just ask you a question. Myself and some other local people from Narrowsburg went out and met with Linda from Real Property Tax Services. And we took a bunch as I told you 2 meetings ago, my secretary in my office, we just picked similar properties in each of the 4 different townships within the school district. And there wasn't any real disparity looking at those and similar valued properties on the same residential type of, usage, if you will. But then we went out to different people in the community and we asked if there was any, spikes in your school tax bill. And we had some people, anywhere from 23%, from 3 to 23% increases in their school taxes without any changes in their star or any changes in the valuations of their property. And so we talked to Linda about it, and she couldn't tell us why that happened. So how does that happen? That some people are 3% and some people are 18 to 20%.
Did you happen to verify the figures they used by going on taxlookup.net and
Yes,
see what they
yes.
were actually paying?
Yes. Yeah.
Because people come up with strange percentages.
Yes.
I know.
I've actually had a few people call me and they thought the same thing. One person said they were like 28%, another guy said 13. When I went on taxlookup.net and compared their rates, it wasn't the case. They were the same.
Well, we did, and we actually gave the information to Linda and then came back. Actually, Tom Pendergast was one of the people that met with her and myself, and your property went up 17.25%. How is that possible, Ken? That some people are 3%, some are 17.25%?
Where are the people that are 3%, Ned?
These are people we just picked out, that were across the board.
What town?
Oh,
Were they in this
Tusten,
town?
yeah.
Well,
We-
maybe they had changed from basic to enhanced star or some other change.
But there was no,
Also, were they Tusten in the Eldridge School District or
no,
Tusten
Tusten,
in-
Tusten, yeah.
okay.
And the same star. So, can
Well,
we?
I think you need to be more specific if you want an answer from me and show me the property so I can maybe find out an answer.
All right,
Right.
we're gonna get together with you because I went to Linda because I said, let's get a broad overview here. And then she also talked about John. She was gonna give me John's phone number he's the fellow that met with you, I believe his name is John, right? And, so we're gonna talk to him also. So, all right, so we'll set up a meeting with you, Ken, and we'll all sit down and we'll go,
Right.
because
Go
if
through
there's
this.
no, what I'm thinking is that there's
I'd
no
like to go.
change in the star, there's no change in the assessed values.
right.
Then maybe it was a problem with the billing.
Usually, it's a problem with a water and sewer re-levy, a school re-levy has
That could be,
changed it,
yeah.
So there's something in that bill, usually if you look at the components of it, that has caused that change. All of them I've had calls on,
Yeah, make sure
I've
you
been
look
able
at
to
all the
find a
tax levy
component in there
details.
of why it changed.
Because it'll show you there from year to year. You can go back, like
Because I
from
think
last
We
year.
did, we went back to
Tom's
two
rate of
thousand seven on some of these
17 is
properties.
more accurate, I don't think anybody got a 3%.
Right, yeah,
Let me ask you one
no.
other question here, in respect to that. It's, if there was a reassessment and it was done this May, it would have affected only the school tax, is that correct?
You mean if they had done something to their property?
Well, that's my point, because I noticed my assessment went up, and nothing was done to my property.
Your assessment didn't change, Tom.
Yeah, it did, it went from 235 to 242.
Are you talking assessment or the market value calculation by the computer? Because you're not assessed at
Assessment is what-
235.
I'll call you on it, how's that?
Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
All right, so Ken, I'll be in touch with you. And we'll get together for a meeting.
Yeah, because you gotta make sure that you look at the tax levy details, because that does divulge a lot, like
That's where
Ken
I
said.
usually find the problem.
A lot of times
Is
they'll have a tax
People call
re-
to say their taxes doubled and so on, it's
Yeah.
because they missed the third of the 3 payments on the school tax and it got re-levied or something. It's usually a reason.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
3%, I don't think any of us saw. I know I didn't.
Nope.
I have the figures.
Okay, UDC.
I'm gonna take the UDC
Okay,
because,
well, there you go, you take it away.
I was there. Okay, put Susan in the audience, right? Sue?
Tony was the guy who was there.
I was there. Okay, Upper Delaware Council met for their monthly meeting, November 7th, and I'll keep this short here. Here are the items, important items. National Park Service Superintendent Sean McGinnis announced at the meeting that he will be retiring effective January 1, 2014. And people were upset, but he is looking forward to his retirement. 2, there was a presentation prior to the meeting by Jeff Skelding of Friends of the Upper Delaware River and Garth Pettinger of Trout Unlimited. The topic was a PowerPoint presentation to the council members with factual data that demonstrates that New York City DEP does have more than enough water in their reservoirs to release into the West Branch and main stem in times of summer thermal stress events when the water temperature north of Callicoon reaches more than 75 degrees. It was a good presentation. Anybody that would like the presentation, it's available at FUDR.org. That's Friends of the Upper Delaware River. It's an advocacy group, mostly fishing guides, outfitters that are looking for, this is a wonderful cold water wild trout fishery. All they're asking for is to give us more cold water in the summer months to make it even a better fishery. But it's a good presentation. 3, appointment of nominating committee for the slate of 2014 Upper Delaware Council officers. So they're going to start a slate for next year. 4, beginning October 28th through December 31st, New York State Route 97, about 7 miles north of the Orange County border. In the town of Lumberland will be 1 lane due to rock scaling work, and that's going to be 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. 5, there are 2 emergency communication towers proposed, one for the town of Tusten and one for the town of Delaware. A balloon test was conducted on October 15th. NPS Chief Ranger Joe Hinkes and his team of rangers stated that they were not able to see the balloons from anywhere they attempted when they were doing their field work. Sue asked a good question. They have a GPS quadrant where the communication towers are going to go. I didn't know that. You know, we can check with Travis on that.
Oh, well, we can check with Ed too, have they come, Ed? Is Ed here?
I didn't see it today,
Oh,
but I'm sure that they haven't been constructed, so I'm sure that they're going to have to go before the planning board anyway.
yeah,
So.
right, that will come.
And lastly, Upper Delaware Resource Specialist Travis Odell spoke with the Damascus Code Enforcement Officer and discussed New York City DEP Emergency Action Plan, which were only available to river municipalities. It's a big book done by New York City DEP, and they're available to anybody on this board. And I would definitely, if we're talking about emergency management plan, flooding, for instance, to pick this up. Also, Gary, that would also be, you can also get this as well from New York City DEP. I'll give you the information. That's it.
Thank you very much, Tony. Beautification crew.
We had some busy times. The Main Street merchants and some of the beautification volunteers were busy the last 2 weeks, I guess, right, Barry? Planting bulbs all over the Main Street area, so it should be very, very beautiful this spring. Also, Helen mentioned the money that was won for showing of flowers. And with that money, many of you might have noticed the planter box that has been made with the stacked stone on the southern entrance to town. The sign isn't there right now, but it will be put back, and that will be planted as well. And that was part of the winnings, as well as the bulb plantings was part of the winnings, and several other things. We've met to decide what we're trying to do next year as far as grants are concerned. I might have even reported on that last month, but we met again and we're changing, well, we're rethinking it, let's put it that way. And so we're going to have another meeting, and Representative, probably Helen, will be coming out to discuss options with us. So we're continuing to work.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Did I leave anything out?
LDC, Andrea did email me. I didn't get a chance to look at it completely, but know that the LDC has not met, but you're scheduled to meet, I
This
guess,
coming Tuesday.
this coming Tuesday, okay.
But that's not set in stone, Carol, it just went out.
Okay, so hopefully that will happen. Energy Committee, Randy, do you wanna give an update about today, or? We met with NYSERDA today, the state representatives from NYSERDA. It was a very productive meeting. So hopefully we'll get some guidance and whatnot from them, a little bit more where to find some more grant monies and whatnot so that we can change out our lighting. We discussed the street lights, identified some really, just our main goals, basically. We're funding of projects that we'd like to see through to fruition, those being the inside and outside lighting, because our street lighting is a big part of our energy use. Solar, the roof, we, discussed the possibility of, looking into the roof and whatnot, and hopefully the engineering report will give us a little more about this. Pellet.
Carol, I don't think
heating?
that roof's
Okay.
gonna be. Carol, that
Well,
roof,
it
our
would-
roof, this roof here?
Yeah.
Well, south is that way. I don't think that's really gonna be an option for us. Just so you know.
Yeah, well, that and also the highway barn we discussed as well. So there we got property, if the roof can't handle the load, then we also have property, so you could do a solar field.
Probably not.
Just to mention, we are hoping to have an expert in that field who's done some solar panel and other energy efficiency work up here, come up and do an assessment of the various areas that we're looking at as possible projects. So it's not just gonna be, let's get a contractor and throw something up.
Yeah.
We're gonna get some expert input on that.
Yeah. Carol pointed to when we were up there looking at the roof and stuff,
Mhm.
or considering the remodeling. I sincerely doubt it.
Well, it would need structural,
A lot of
yeah,
structural.
yeah,
Almost to the point where probably prohibitive.
so,
We're still talking about energy?
yes.
Because remember, there was this thing that's coming up at,
Okay.
Tusten.
There's an expert panel on pellet heating,
Coming up this weekend,
this
Sunday.
weekend, Sunday, November 17th, 2013, 1 PM to 3 at the Tusten Theater. So if anybody's interested in attending that.
What
Oh.
was that?
So, expert panel on pellet heating.
Just a point on Tusten, you mentioned Tusten Theater, while it's on my mind. When they
Thank
were
you.
doing the things here this last weekend, the
What
people
time?
who were doing the interviews were having
1
a
to 3.
continuous problem with the electric up there, with circuit breakers popping and a whole bunch of other stuff, which we should be concerned about.
Upstairs.
Yes, and it wasn't that much of a load, and they were popping circuit breakers left and right.
Okay.
So, that means there's probably a problem in the system somewhere, and electrical fire is an electrical fire.
Mhm.
So, either us as landlord or them as tenant, somebody's gonna have to start looking at that system,
Okay.
cause
Does
that
anybody
shouldn't
know
be
if
happening.
they're on their own meter and whatnot too, so
Well, then
they
she's
are
gonna have
separate.
to have
so-
some electrician look it over, cause those things should not be popping as frequently as they did.
Okay.
When's the Pelican?
It is Sunday, November 17th, 1 to 3, Tusten Theater.
Carol, would you be so kind to remind me to call Elaine? Circuit breakers.
And they're having 3 guest speakers as well.
Okay. Okay. I'm actually going to pull number 34. I mistakenly put it in the consent agenda and I shouldn't have. It's motion 34, and I'm gonna pull that, and I would like to do that now. Yeah. Number 34 on the agenda, it's on the last page. It is with a heavy heart and great sadness that I announce the passing of Mr. Horace, more commonly known as Bud Budenhagen, and we extend our condolences to the family. I'll make this motion, and I'll read the resolution. Whereas Horace Bud Budenhagen has been called home to the Lord, whereas Bud Budenhagen was a dedicated public servant to the residents of the town of Tusten as a town councilman for 20 years, and whereas Bud Budenhagen was a lifelong town of Tusten resident and trusted community leader, and his ties to the community extended further than his service as councilman, and whereas he earned the well-deserved respect of due a longtime community leader, serving with the Tusten Lions Club, the Narrowsburg Seniors, Narrowsburg Fire Department, and the Tusten Ambulance Auxiliary. And whereas Bud will be greatly missed by the community, whom he served with such distinction, and now therefore be it resolved on behalf of the town of Tusten, its citizens and staff, the town board, by this resolution and public record, marks with regret the death of Horace Bud Budenhagen, and extends its deepest sympathy to his wife of 65 years, Emily, as well as to all of his family on this sad occasion for their loss, and our hope that his family will be consoled by the memories of his life and achievements. And be it further resolved that the town of Tusten that an official copy of this resolution be prepared for his family in appreciation of his service, and that when the town board adjourn this day, they do so in memory of Horace Bud Budenhagen. I'd like to. I'd like to note that Bud was not only just a councilman for 20 years, but Bud, I think probably ever since he left our council, has attended almost every single town board meeting that we've had. Has always been an active member in the society, in our community, and it's a great loss to our community. I'm very sorry.
You always kept everybody on his toes at meetings, too.
Yep. Okay. Okay, the number 7, old business budget, 2014. I need a motion to change his justice salary line to $20,164. That would bring we forgot to do that. We brought it up the other night, but we didn't have the numbers. So the numbers to make their salaries an equal salary would be $20,164. That would be with no increase. So.
Okay, also move.
Okay, second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. The UDC, Carol, we had this discussion via email, you, me, and Tony. The UDC line, that should be 1,200.
Yeah, that's what I had.
Okay,
I must have explained it improperly.
okay, gotcha,
But
okay.
no, we had turned it back on the
Yeah,
preliminary 12.
okay, gotcha, yeah.
So that was in there.
That's what I thought, and I thought when
Yeah.
I reviewed it, I saw that, so it
Yeah.
should have been fine, okay. Moving on, disposal of the fire truck.
Well, we're trying to get rid of a fire truck, and I sent the board members what it looks like on eBay, and as soon as we get that PayPal account going, we'll, or you can
Right,
upload it.
Yeah,
So it's done. The
Okay.
photographs are done, the copy's done. All they
Yeah,
need
I'll
to
do that
do is
tomorrow.
just upload it to eBay, and maybe we'll get a bid.
sounds good.
You need a credit card apparently too.
Yeah, that's what I gotta do. Tony emailed me yesterday about it, but I didn't get to it today. I
Just
had a
open up a
meeting.
PayPal account, because eBay wants to bill us for posting that for 10 days.
I'm
They're
not
not
so
gonna
sure
post it for
Crazy
free.
about opening a PayPal account though.
They're either gonna take PayPal or MasterCard or Visa.
Yeah, I can give them a MasterCard.
That's
but-
fine. They
Yeah,
just want something.
Cause we have the debit account,
They
so,
want something.
Well, PayPal has
Yeah.
to be also is linked in with some sort of a payment also, so maybe the
Yeah.
credit card would be behind that.
Right.
yeah, so actually,
But I sent everybody the link, so.
Right.
So-
I just feel more comfortable with the
I'm good.
resolution on that as well.
Okay, make a resolution, also move it.
So move that the
Authorize
supervisor
the
be
super-
authorized to, give it, or debit account information to eBay.
Right.
I'll second.
Okay, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, basketball court equipment. You
Carol,
gave me one.
Yep, also, I talked to Clue Padu,
Yep.
and he said, Ned, why are you guys going out and getting all this new information? He said he had given you like a bounty of information,
He gave me one quote.
but I'm just telling you what he told me.
Right.
So he says, but why even, he said, I did all the research and stuff. Do you have that quote?
Yeah, I had emailed it to you.
I didn't get that, but that's okay. So why don't we move forward with either his quote or my quote, whatever one's better.
Well, we need 3 quotes for procurement policy, so that's why I gave
But
it
it's
to you
only,
guys.
I know, but why do you need, cause it's under the $5,000, why do you need 3 quotes? It's under the $5,000
Isn't
limit.
that our procurement policy, 3, or do we need 2?
I thought you just
They
needed 2,
need
it's
2?
under that,
Okay.
yeah, cause you don't need,
Okay.
yeah.
Yep. Okay.
So whatever one's cheaper, let's just go ahead with
Alright,
it.
so next meeting we'll do that, okay.
It's probably in your box.
No, I got it. I was there today.
Zoning rewrite, the 239 review is in, sorry, number 11 shouldn't even be there. That was, we were waiting, that last month we were waiting for the 239 review. 239 review is done. Carol?
The 239 came in last Wednesday, and it's been sent to the board. No, it's been sent to the consultant. He has to review it and have any questions he has with them. Then the zoning committee will meet again to see what needs to be incorporated, and we do have some changes we're gonna make, clear cutting and that type of thing. So the zoning committee's gonna meet again.
Right,
So that's the next step.
that's our next
Carol?
step.
Let me just jump in real quick. We had that meeting, that public meeting, and some of the board members were there. Our comments, the board was very specific against that
Yeah, we
crazy
have a
clear
copy of
cutting.
that. The stenographer provided the consultant with
Right.
with a copy
Okay.
of that, yeah.
Because I'm not really too happy with our consultant, so I want to make sure that he understands the board's
Yeah, no.
understanding of
Yeah.
what he tried to do there.
Yeah, no, he understands.
Okay.
And
so-
he does have a copy of that, transcript.
Okay. So before this, so it's another month or two out before this comes before the board then, right?
Probably,
Correct.
yeah, because the committee's gonna have to get together and meet before,
Okay.
to make our changes before we do the recommendation
Okay.
to the board.
Right.
Okay.
And, we gotta work under his schedule, so
Are
it's,
we gonna see this before the meeting?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, absolutely.
yeah, well, you all have what's already out there.
Well, we talked
So,
about that,
yeah.
but.
Right, so then you'll get the updates, any changes that are made.
Okay.
Okay, number 12, contract with Dog Mountain for shelter services. I didn't do a specific contract, I called him, he doesn't require a contract of sorts, so I just filled out the paper, I signed the paperwork with him, and that's been done. I do have to email it to the state though, and Carol, remind me to do that tomorrow, I'll scan it and email it.
They're lovely.
Pardon?
They're
Yeah,
lovely.
yep, yep, so,
And Carol, as I remember, there was a maximum amount of days too, right, that the dog would be, right? Am I right,
yeah,
Norm?
5, yeah.
Okay.
And then what?
Yeah. That's actually, I think I'm gonna draw up the contract anyway,
Yeah.
because we have the approval for it anyway, so
Well, make a
I'll
policy,
model
you
it
make it
off
as
of
a
the last one
policy.
and
Yeah.
sign that and send that to him as
Yeah.
well.
Be a
So
good
that
idea.
it's, yeah, so it's more in keeping with what we want, just so it's official. You got quotes, or
no,
not quotes, but
No.
the,
Sale of the
the
water.
concrete you
I
said?
have a discussion
We're gonna be looking at
about
about
that
25
because there
yards.
was 2 trucks out
Okay.
there one day,
Porta
and then
pad.
the next day there was
I
another
talked to
one.
Keith, he
And in the
volunteered,
past, it's come up and they said,
I would
"Well,
say
you.
to,
that's money for a truck."
help Glenn out and
So they did.
getting it set up so we can get it going and get a
Okay.
pad down and just go forward from that. And then now this is done, I can talk to
Bring it up, but I forgot.
Wes
Wes, yeah.
and get him, because he was saying before he was a little busy and to wait a little bit till
Right.
he'd slow down a little bit. We
Okay.
could work on that.
you got quotes, you said?
Well, we just got an estimate how much,
Oh.
So do we know how much it will cost to
I'm
get
figuring
him to
around
engineer it?
engineering, I'm probably figuring $1,000.
Alright, so we're gonna need
Let me
a board
ask you a
resolution
Yeah,
to
we're gonna need a board
authorize that.
resolution to authorize that.
Alright, is everybody in agreement that we need engineering services on the dog shelter?
Somebody's gotta drop a set of plans. So everybody has on the same page, as far as electrical and everything else.
There's no plans that anybody has out there. Hate to spend that kind of money.
Well,
No, and the only thing they gave was a written example of what requirements you needed. They didn't have any layout at all.
Okay, so then that has to go to Wes to be figured out, okay.
it's better to cover ourselves that way.
Do we have an idea of, like, it should be just a few $100s, right?
I'll see if I can talk them down on price.
Okay.
I'll
Before I
play
say
the
yes, I
positive.
wanna know how much we're talking about here.
Yeah, because we're gonna be, I'll throw
Well,
it in
why
the fact
don't
that we're gonna be using them quite a bit over the next few years.
Yeah, why don't we authorize, Councilman Normmeyer to, discuss the dog kennel engineer, plans for the dog kennel with the engineer, and the supervisor be authorized to expend up to, how much?
Something like that, it should be $300, $400.
Up to $400 for the
Yeah,
engineering services for the dog kennel.
Okay. Work 'em hard, don't let them know that, Norm.
No, I'm not going to.
Talk to him before it gets on YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay, LDC discussion. Basically, I think we should wait until the LDC meets
I
and
was
come
gonna
up
say.
with, hopefully.
Carol, it's not looking
you'll have
good
it
though, I
on it.
mean, we've been all year long trying to raise $1,500 to pay for
Right.
that, and there's no money really come, that I know of, unless there's something's happened that, the rest of the board doesn't
Right.
know about. So if that doesn't happen, I think that, the TLDC should be dissolved until such
That's-
point,
I would agree.
because it's nothing but a liability at this point.
Yep.
Well, I'm looking at it another way. If it is gonna be dissolved, I want it audited as to everything that went on, so we never make those mistakes again if we have to go down this road again.
That's
I think it has to be audited before we put it to bed.
I agree with that. Yeah, because it's an extension of the town board, so you're right, that has to be
How can we
done.
put it to bed without an audit and be in compliance with the rest of the state law?
Right.
I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Are you sure you require an audit if the income was less than $250,000?
Yes, and I'll tell you who told us that is, Cooper Neiman was very specific about that.
It's not my understanding.
Yeah, no, they were real specific about that, because we had the discussion. We actually went and talked to them. Eileen, you were part of that discussion.
Do we have enough money to pay them?
No, that's the problem.
Yeah.
And you also need your Paris report too.
Well, if they're a subdivision of us, then somebody will have to come up with the money to have them audited before we put them to bed. That's all there is to it.
Morgan's got her hand up.
Morgan?
I just wanted to say something about the TLDC comments. There's a lot of unfinished business and a lot of activity that we've been needing to meet for a long time, but there's been a lot of people who have not been able to coordinate their time. The survey's still on the table, ready to go out, that we want to get everybody on the TLDC in cooperation, that will actually amplify to the community what the TLDC, because the problem is no one knows about it. Main Street is now getting active with the TLDC and are actually putting in monies to raise funds for decor and other projects in town, and there are several organizations who are going to be making donations this month to the TLC, so I don't think it's quite ready to be put to bed. It's just now being birthed to the community. So I would like to have a chance to do this survey that Mildred's Lane put forth last summer and follow up with that before there's any discussion about putting it to bed. Let's see what the community feels about it as at large.
I think the board, though, we as a board had decided that if we can't raise the money by the end of this year to get the, for the basic audit, if we can't even raise that amount of money, $1,500, then there's, it's a liability for the town board.
If you can't do that, there's no point in going on any further.
Like I say, the survey will
No, I'm talking about money,
advertise.
actually raising money so you can fulfill your obligations under state law. If you can't do that, it can't go on any longer, because then it reflects on us and it's a liability to us. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir, I do understand that.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll wait and see what happens with the TLDC meeting, and hopefully you guys can pull a meeting together this Tuesday and everybody can be in attendance. So.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Water and sewer outsourcing.
Okay, I don't have that proposal in electronic form like you're asking for here. We just talked Thursday about it, so I'll get it to the board. And then I'd ask this just to be put onto the next month's agenda, and I'll get it to the board, the one proposal I have. But really the discussion is, do we want to, if we can get the same level of service for our town water and sewer, and say the people in the town water and sewer district a substantial amount of money, apples to apples, then I think it behooves the board to move ahead and go and see, request for proposals. We don't have to do anything with it, but get the proposals out there and let's see what the industry has available to us and the costs, and then we can make an informed decision as to how to move forward. And I think Norm had said, was it you, Norm, that had said that it would be a good idea at that point, if we do have that information and we do have it correlated, then to go out and then send a mailing, referendum, if you will, to the water and sewer district users to see if this is what they want to do.
Anything we're gonna do as far as the sewer and water district, in my opinion, should be put to a referendum and to the people.
Right.
There's no question of it.
Okay. Problem.
We gotta keep apples and oranges on these
Oh,
considerations.
yeah, and problem with that also is referendum on that type of thing isn't a legal thing for us to do.
No, that's the other
Yeah,
area we get into.
so that's why you have a board.
No, I agree, Carol.
Yeah.
But it's just, we want to get a good understanding from the people, the users. And if this is something they want to do, I mean, our job is to.
The board
Right.
had discussed this last meeting. Does anybody wanna reiterate what was
No,
discussed?
I'll just as soon keep the sewer water myself. That's my personal
Ned,
preference.
I'm looking at the minutes, okay, I'm looking at the minutes from October 8th, okay?
Right.
And it says water and sewer privatization requested by Councilman Lang to be on the agenda, which it was,
Right.
okay? Unfortunately, you were not here at that meeting.
Right.
But basically, almost every board member is opposed to this. And it says that in the minutes. You want me to read this?
I'm pretty good at reading, Tony. I understand
Have
that.
you read it then?
But I wasn't
Have you-
here.
I know you
Of
weren't
course I
here,
read it.
right, but I'm just saying, 4 people are not in favor of it.
All right, I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go out myself, and I'm gonna go out and get proposals from these water and sewer people. And I personally will do the mailing, and let the people, the users, and this is what we're supposed to do as a board. You know, go out and find the information out, and then distribute that to the people that we represent, and then have them come back and tell us what their pleasure is. And I will make the mailing, I will do the proposals, and we will see just how much money that we can save, and
You
then.
need to do that at the direction of the board.
No, I can do
can't
that
just-
as an individual person, Carol. Absolutely, I can do that as an individual person. But my point is that the board should represent the spirit of the people. And if we're not going out and asking the questions, getting the information together, I don't feel we're doing our job.
Ned, the majority of people I've spoken to to date are not in favor of it. They'd sooner keep the system as it is.
And there are a
Well-
lot of things that the company does not provide,
Yes.
a lot of things.
I don't agree with that because we work with a lot of these same individuals that do provide the same services we're getting now.
You have a water main leak on Christmas Day, what happens?
You have to have people on call just like you do now,
People
24/7.
on call, do they have, equipment? They're gonna bring a backhoe? No.
Again, our backhoe is a tiny little backhoe. It's the same problem. If you had a water line break on Christmas Day and you had a lot of frost in the ground, our people couldn't get to it right now as it is. You'd have to go out to the town, to the building department. So again, I mean, these are things that you need to investigate. You know, worst case scenario doesn't carry the day.
They don't do leak detection, they
Yes.
don't do
Carol, you put that in your proposal. This is what you need to do, guys. Bring this to the table.
inside and outside maintenance, mowing, raking out the sand beds,
Sure.
the painting of the wells, I mean, there's a lot of stuff. When we looked, this is the problem I have with it, is when Ben was supervisor, we looked into this, he was in favor of it, okay, initially. I said this at the last board meeting, if you wanna go back.
I don't need it. I read pretty well.
We looked into it, when it was studied, it was found that it would not be cost efficient to the district. And we would not get the same service, and you're not gonna have somebody that's reliable on a day-to-day basis and the same people doing,
Carol, we have the village of Goshen, of Florida, of Warwick, Maybrook, Montgomery, that I do work for, my company does, and they're all privatized. They all are individual privatized facilities that are taking care of this. So you can't tell me that this is a new animal and that
No.
nobody else can
That's
match
not
the
what I'm
same
saying.
services.
and I'm not saying that,
But can I say something? I
Sure.
just wonder how a company, if you're paying your men to do a job, and then you get another company in to take over, those men have to be paid too, but so does that company. So it doesn't make
They're
sense
making
that they
money.
could possibly,
Eileen, I guarantee you, a private company can work much cheaper, if you will, much more productive than your municipal entities, day in and day out. We're paying right now, and you can see it's in our budget, it's $75,000 per employee. You have 2 employees down there, taking care of our town water, town sewer, and it's $150,000 a year, and I guarantee you that I could save, or these companies can save this with the town water and sewer district, probably in the line of $40,000 to $50,000 a year.
and are they gonna do a budget? Who does the
Carol,
budget?
you write that into the specifications in your proposal. RFPs take care of all of that. That has to be part of
And then
that.
the price goes up, correct.
You don't know that. You're
That-
speaking without knowledge.
When we had to hire JPK, let's see, back in 2007, well, it's 2006, we paid them $800, I think it was every 2 weeks here. I have the check journals from that time. And it was every 2 weeks just to use their license. I mean, it wasn't, we did
Carol,
what we had to do.
I'm speaking from knowledge. My
I know
companies
that, and
work
I'm
with these
not
people
arguing
every
with
day.
you, I wanna have a conversation about this.
I'm not arguing,
But
I'm just telling you that just because you have a number there doesn't mean, again, our responsibility as a board is to go out and get the information and bring that
I
back
agree, and
to
we
the
had
people.
done this prior.
My
I haven't
question-
seen an
my
RFP
question
out.
is- Okay, my question is this, okay, since Carol was on the board and Eileen was on the board when Ben was
I was town
supervisor.
clerk, actually, at that time.
A clerk, okay. What were the reasons why it never passed? Do you recall? When that was brought up
It wasn't
for
cost
private,
efficient, yeah.
it was cost?
It wasn't cost efficient, yeah. And
Yeah.
there were too many things that they didn't provide.
That's right.
Now, that was only 5 years ago that he was
Right.
supervisor, this topic was brought up.
They're not available on a 24-hour basis like ours are. I mean, that's a big
That's-
difference too.
Right.
That's not true. These people are.
Not
Do we have,
everybody
do we
works
have, let
there
me
much
ask you
like
another
you do.
question. Do we have a specific job description for the people that run our town water, town sewer? Or are we
Yes.
assuming okay, can you get me that job description, please? That would
Carol,
be
you
the
should
first
have
step.
that. Could you email that to?
Job
That should be in
description?
your file,
That's you?
yeah.
I'll ask Karen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then you
So
can
we
build
can-
off of that, and then we can get apples to apples.
I have a question if that part of the water is discussed. Is there any way we track the company that takes our water?
Just by, bills, the, Duck
I mean-
Unlimited or
Aqueduct.
Aqueduct, yeah.
I mean, because last week, twice, 2 trucks at one time.
Yeah, we get, they get billed for it.
And how do you keep track?
The water and sewer department keeps track. Dom's not here to answer that question, but we also get a check from them, so, yeah.
I mean, because it's right on my road, and I say, and I've never
Yeah,
heard
yeah.
anybody say that, hey, they're coming to get our water. I think
Right.
it's gotta be followed.
Yeah, no, they always call Dominic ahead of time.
I
I
think
know
according
that.
to Bill, you did what, 24,000 gallons were sold to them, according to Dominic's report
Yeah,
last month?
so, it's in his report.
It's gonna be about 2 truckloads probably.
To what?
24,000 would be about 2 truckloads.
Yeah,
So this was like
Well, I
4
haven't seen what
truckloads.
size.
They're
This was
6,000
so-
gallon tankers, so but you're
Yeah.
you're on it, yeah.
Okay.
it's in here.
6,000 gallons?
Yes.
Okay, that would be 4 in
There you
2
go.
days. Right after.
Right here,
Okay.
okay?
Okay, that covers 4 days.
There you go.
Okay. 2 days.
Yeah. And there's also another district, who was the district? I asked
I
last
think
month.
in the
can't remember
past
the
they
name of the
went
district
on
that's
this
getting
side.
rid of their contract.
I mean, I had dog fights.
Like
That's right.
Louise Marie, it's also, they're, going back to, handling it themselves and getting rid of their contract because it hasn't worked out for them, it hasn't been cost efficient. That's,
I don't know anything
and there's
about that.
another thing, it just, I mean, if you're trying to make a case on one side with, well, because all these other towns do it, they've contracted out, so it must be worth looking into or worth doing.
Right.
You can make the same argument, the county's contracted out a whole lot of highway projects and whatnot that haven't been cost efficient. The school district contracts out, and I work for First Student, and I probably shouldn't say this publicly, but it's not cost efficient to our district. It's not cost efficient for our
The buses?
transportation to be contracted out. It was far more efficient when we were in-house. And
Well, then
so,
we could argue about that all day long.
Yeah,
Carol. I mean,
exactly.
A good
Well,
friend
that's
of
what I'm
mine
saying.
has a beautiful house down in the Keys, and
So-
he has 50-some school buses, and he does a lot of work for these schools in New Jersey, and he wins the
Yeah.
bid every year. So
but then I'm just, yes, but
we
so
need to
there's
look
two
into
sides
it.
of the fence.
We have to look into it. That's the compelling point.
So let's
Since
vote
you have so much
whether
free
or
time, you
not
can
I'm
do
gonna
it.
do it.
Go out with an RFP. Ned, you wanna make the motion to go out with an RFP?
I'll make the motion.
And who's writing the RFP?
I'll write the RFP once I get the information from Carol. I'll put an RFP out there.
Wait a minute,
I'm gonna
wait,
do it
wait,
either-
wait,
either
you're
way.
asking for a request for proposals.
Right, that's
4
what we do
people on
with
this board don't wanna privatize. What I think you should do is, I think that you should come and make a presentation and try to persuade us to change our mind.
Did you hear what I?
Before we do an RFP.
Did you hear what I
He
said
already
before?
said he would pay for that.
What did I say before? I said, I'll put it together. That's why I said I'll do it, because I'm gonna do it anyway.
Well, then, no, I'm not gonna vote for an RFP. I'd like to hear what you've got to say, make a presentation,
Well-
and then maybe you'll change my mind.
Well, what'll happen, I think, the way I believe it's gonna play out is that I'll put together an RFP, I'll get some proposals back, and then I'll mail it to all the local people in town, and then I'll have an idea, and then if the local people wanna do it, then it compels the board to do it.
Yeah.
And as a citizen, that's my right.
Okay, so the motion on the floor is that Ned be authorized to write up an RFP for the board's approval.
It's okay.
Do I have a second?
I mean, why would you do that if we're expecting him to go out and pay for this and he's talking about doing it as a citizen,
As a
from what I
citizen.
Well, I wanna know, because I want it on the record whether or not it's board approved. If the board isn't
But there's gotta be something to approve, for the board to
for
approve.
Ned to be sanctioned by the board, approved by the board,
'Cause
to,
you're not a citizen anymore, you're an elected official.
Tony,
You can do things.
I'm a
as
fellow citizen, believe me, at the end of the day.
Okay.
That's what I was, if I can't do it as a board member, because the board doesn't want it to happen, then I'll do it as a citizen, that's okay, that's my
so
prerogative.
I'm asking the board for their opinion, for the resolution on this, whether or not the board wants Ned to write an RFP for the board's approval. You wanna put that in the form of a motion?
I think you did a good job, Carol.
Okay, that's my motion. Can I have a second?
Your motion, you're making a motion, I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Eileen?
I just don't see the necessity for it.
Okay, let's have a
Okay.
count here.
Yep.
No.
Okay, Ned, you're a no?
Oh, yes.
Ned's a yes.
Ned's a yes, okay, sorry.
Eileen?
Eileen, you're a
No.
Okay, Tony,
No.
Carol, sorry.
No.
Tony,
For the third time, no.
no. Well, I'm sorry, I could've written it down. And Norm?
No.
The motion does not
So
carry.
now
That's the
doing
way it
myself.
should be.
But-
Okey-doke.
Not saying you should spend money,
But
but I think there's a
We
sense
should
you do it.
probably have just to protect you, Ned, we should probably have an attorney's opinion on, you're a private citizen, yes, but you're a member of the board.
Exactly.
You might get into trouble for doing
That's
that.
okay, I'll
Right.
take
Right.
the heat, I'm used to the heat.
You really should get, you should get an opinion, though.
It's okay.
He's getting opinions, I don't see.
Moving on.
No, I don't agree with you on this one.
That's okay, you don't have to, I'm not asking for your
Opening bids for surplus items.
support.
You got any?
No bids.
No bids received.
That's what I like to hear.
How much did that cost us to advertise?
I'd have to check the invoices.
That's the second time we advertised or the
We
first?
rebid, no, that was the second.
That was the second.
We had one bid for all this material, and then we did a rebid for two things that did not receive a bid. And
what were
now
they
those two
exactly
things,
for?
I think the Heister, the dump bucket and the Heister,
And the mower was,
yeah, something like that.
yeah.
No bids were received on the first time, and now no bids have been received on the rebid for those two items.
Okay.
Which
so-
two items?
Scrap them.
Yeah,
Which two items?
the surplus items for highway,
I know, but you don't know what they.
the bucket
And I
and
think it's a mower,
the
Yeah.
mower.
yeah.
So, I'll move that the superintendent of highways be authorized to, sell the surplus items for scrap unless he gets a better offer in the meantime.
Right. I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Let's see. New business. Discussion items, emergency management plan. We are at the point now where we can, Barton and LaJudas is the, company that I would recommend that the board use. Their professional services. We don't have to, go out with an RFP for this because if we can show reasons why we'd like to retain their services. Barton and LaJudas just did, the emergency management plan in Lumberland. They've done the counties. They've done several others. They're familiar with our layout. It's basically the same thing with our individual tweaks, so that, I mean, we have different things like, well, Lumberland had the railroad too, the county has
But Carol,
railroad
why
issues.
wouldn't we go out for an RFP to other companies? Why?
Well, it's gonna take, but then we have to hire a company to write the RFP. It's technical.
But how do we know what we're getting if there's no RFP that's been written? I mean, has anybody on the board read the RFP?
It's the grant that I wrote and, with the UDC is what, Barton and LaJudas gave me a quote for, just an emergency management plan. similar to that of the counties and the town of Lumberland. So it would see us through to the fruition of that.
How much money are you
So-
talking?
I didn't put that in here, and I cannot remember what my grant was for. But I'll bring this back up next month, because
Okay. Well, can we,
I
maybe
didn't
give
get a
us some
chance
sort of
to-
idea, scope of services, Carol, or something like that, you know,
Yep.
so we know what we're talking about?
yeah, he sent that all to me, and I have it in my UDC folder, and I apologize, I didn't bring it with me, so. Or next month. So I'll get you all that information, just so you can be on the same page, and, okay, and just for your information, Lumberland was extremely happy with them. I spoke to several people down there that dealt with them.
Well, I
Emergency
mentioned the county has a contract with them, we probably just best off getting a county contract of what they're paid to provide. Would be the guideline for us to
Right.
use.
Plus the fact you're on a deadline too.
Yeah.
Yes, we have a deadline.
That's, you know, we only have so
Exactly.
many months to, we have to
Right,
get
we
done.
had to wait for it to be awarded, and now we can go out with, yeah.
Take advantage of anything that's pre-existing, you know, and use that as a
Exactly.
guideline.
Well, that was my point for using them, because they're, I mean, they have.
I just wanna
basic-
read what they're doing.
Yeah,
and
absolutely, yep.
Have a better feeling for what's going
Yep.
on.
Actually, in the interest of time, maybe we could recess this meeting just to discuss that and get that done. If that would be all right with everybody, for just that single issue. We could probably do it during the day as well.
Did-
Pardon?
Then you'll need a resolution to
Yes,
set the date and all that stuff.
yeah. Yeah, we can just recess at the end of the meeting.
Okay.
Emergency management, I was just thinking back, and we were trying to come up with, I was thinking about Sandy and whatnot and all our complications and problems with that. And last year we had discussed, and what to do in the case of emergency informational flyer. And I don't know if it's too late to put in the tax bills, Carol?
You can't put it in the tax bill.
Well, we can by resolution.
I was told you cannot. It's against the law.
No, we can by resolution. It's against the law unless the town board passes a resolution.
I was told they could not include anything else in the tax bills. That's what I was told. Resolution or not.
Who told you that, Carol?
The Board of Elections and the State Comptroller's Office, I forget who I talked to.
Pretty heavy.
Plus,
No.
the bills are sent, we don't mail
We
the bills
did
out.
one other year, and it was by board resolution because of that law.
Yeah, and I also checked with Kathy last year, we discussed doing this, and she told me the same thing. But there's an outside vendor that mails the bills. The town does not mail the bills anymore.
Right.
And they will not take any other flyers. But your idea, I thought, was very good. Have that one sheet.
That's what I was
Same.
thinking too, because that's only $170
I
to
think
do
that's
an
much, I think
informational
that's,
flyer and send it to every post
Right.
office
That's a
box
good
and every
Yeah.
rural box.
Probably the best
and-
way to say
That's
it.
And we're
better.
covered.
yeah, I think
Right.
that's much better. You got a better
Yeah.
chance and it's more timely.
Yeah,
Because last year
Yeah.
the tax bills were late, so who knows?
right,
But,
yeah.
You know, you're under a
So-
deadline, so.
I'm looking for volunteers to put together a what to do in an emergency informational flyer for the board's approval for next month.
Like an
Anybody else
FAQ,
out there who would like to volunteer?
like an FAQ, like, okay,
An
like we did
FAQ,
before,
yeah.
okay, so,
Yep,
Is it gonna be a flyer though, or is it, I don't know what you do in an emergency, frankly, but is it something that could be made into this big instead, and a magnet that you put on the refrigerator? Because a flyer, you read it once
talking
and then
money,
you
Jane.
put it away.
yeah, magnets aren't cheap, right? Yeah.
Do your flyer.
Well,
Yeah.
but flyers,
Brochure.
Use one of the magnets to hold it to your refrigerator.
You could do a postcard for a couple $100, probably about $200.
For a lot more than that.
Yeah, it would probably cost about $200 for a postcard.
How many, that's a lot of people, yeah.
Yeah.
Magnets would be expensive.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. It
Alright.
depends.
yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, a postcard might be better because it's a little
Yeah, I
smaller
think
package, it's presented in
The
a different
smaller
way,
the better.
so, yeah.
You might be likely to hold on to it if it's small.
Right,
Can
you're
you
not gonna
put
wanna
enough
post
in
a
it?
whole big
Yeah,
8.5 by 11 on your refrigerator.
that's what I'm thinking.
Pardon?
I said, is it
You
big-
do.
I Are you gonna get enough in that and 40,000 pictures? Are you gonna get enough on a postcard?
Oh, I think
Right.
so. There's, I mean, it's what to do in case of an emergency. It's gonna be, you're gonna call, you know, this number. If the 252 numbers don't work like they did the last time, then do this. You know, listen to your local radio stations. The local numbers for the ambulance building if the exchanges aren't working. Because last time we couldn't get out to 911, so we needed to call the ambulance building itself, which I put on the radio, and then the radio stations went down.
And
So
especially if
it
you,
was a big problem.
and if you can't, you know, come to the town hall if you need emergency
Right,
service.
town
yeah.
hall, the fire
Well, that's
department,
true, yeah.
that's where we had set up.
Right.
So,
But nobody
and the fire
knew.
department was open, notes were on the doors to go across the street. So, I mean, just things like that.
Yeah.
So it's not gonna be a ton of information, it's just gonna be compact, this is what you need to do if you need whatever. So, any volunteers to help write that?
Do we have like a, well, you said Lumberland
Yeah,
has this company. Have they done that for them?
that I don't know.
Can you
That-
find out and then just circulate it between the board and we can all make comments on it, Carol?
Yeah, I don't.
Instead of recreating the,
know that they've
recreating
done
the
that,
wheel.
it's not part of an emergency management plan, per se, but, you know,
And we could approve the fact that whichever
You're
comes
saying
out to be the
that
most.
another town like Lumberland might already have something like that. Let's take a
A
look
template,
at it, and
right.
then we'll just fine tune it, you know.
Massage it.
Right, exactly.
And it could be done, we could approve it.
Right, and just send it by email,
Right
Right,
and
just
that way we'll
everybody
just.
can give you comments.
okay, and if they don't, then I still need it written, and I guess I'll work on that myself.
Yeah, well, they're ultimately fire department one's in charge anyhow, the fire.
Well,
chief.
hopefully Carol can find some templates and then we'll circulate it and everybody will make comments, that's all.
Yeah.
The other thing that came up during Sandy was a sandwich board. A sandwich board out in front of Bridge Street, so that people who can't get radio, or they have no way of communication, their cell phones are gone, just to have a sandwich board saying shelter is open, you know, that's not gonna
Right.
cost
Yeah.
much.
Right.
Right.
Just put that out there.
I'll let you borrow the one from the inn.
Well, fire department has one.
Oh, we have one.
Why don't you just
That's in
open the inn,
office,
let
yeah.
everybody sleep there?
I'm thinking,
The only problem with
Have
a
an open
sandwich
party.
board as well is, when you have things like Sandy, they don't stand up.
No.
They don't stay up, period.
I'll just chain it
So-
to, you know,
Chain it to,
Why don't
there's
we
something that we can just chain
Well,
to.
we're
that-
supposed to- we're
Fly
put
it
a
out.
red, put a red flag up?
No,
You
you
go by, you
just,
see the red flag, you know, the red piece of cloth or whatever, you know.
Neon
simple.
light.
simplest way,
Then you don't have to worry about nothing.
we have one sign made up.
Eat here.
Couple metal clips put over the side of the wall, and that'll hold it
Hey.
in case of wind,
Yeah.
rain.
Sandy was nothing compared to 2006.
okay, so do we wanna make a postcard?
We were cut in half.
Do we wanna make a postcard, or what? Costs probably about $250 to do a postcard, and it's gonna be
Postcard makes sense.
$170
Yeah.
to mail it.
Postcard's fine.
I think postcards good.
Postcard
Okay.
fine, it's
It's
not
easy.
that much difference, yeah.
Make a motion to authorize the supervisor to expend up to, let's see, $400 for the
Hand deliver them.
printing of the postcards and mailing of the postcards
I'll do
through
the
post
plaques.
boxes.
There's 60, 70 stamps right there.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Broadband seminar, Norm and Jane attended.
And actually Star was there too.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'll say what I thought and everybody can.
Yeah.
I was very disappointed that, with the information that I learned. I kind of thought that we would walk away with an idea how we can increase broadband in our town. But really, I learned the major point was there is an office, a broadband office in Albany in the state of New York. And the state's goal is to bring the state up to, I think it's a level of 6.
6 down, 1.5 up.
Okay, 6 mega, bloop, 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 whatever, I don't even know what that bloop, bloop, bloop is, which is higher than what the nation is trying to get everybody at. There, it's only like 1 point something. Anyway, the bottom line is, many of us in Tusten are at 6, many of us are not, but those But the bottom line is 6 really isn't high enough for the needs of good business services. If you look at a map of the state of New York, they had it color coded. 50 to 100 level is what the city, Long Island, and right up the Hudson River has. And then you get lower in the rural areas, which we of course are. So the office in Albany seems to be centered around getting everybody up to 6. They're not concerned with really getting us to 50. So I think the only way, am I saying this correctly? The only way that it seems we would have to meet with the Frontier people because they service us, and it costs money. And I'm just not sure how that money gets
We keep
gets
looking
paid.
back to Time Warner again, too.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
my
maybe it's Time
information.
Warner, yeah.
Time Warner from Frontier, if you remember right, the lady really didn't seem like really indifferent to anything. She
Yeah,
didn't
she
care.
was not very
Time
pleasant.
Warner was a little bit, but they're looking at the economics of how much to run per mile and everything else, and that seems to be a figure that they play with
Well,
quite a bit.
and one of my concerns with the whole broadband issue is I think it's wonderful to have broadband in the area, but at the same time, as far as I understood, they're also talking about not maintaining their landlines then after we have
Well,
broadband,
the
is
Star
that
spoke
correct?
to them about that. Star actually asked a question.
Yeah, the real problem is, they wanna get this broadband in, and they did these graphs to see, you know, who in the area now would have no access to this broadband, even if they brought it in and did all their dickering around with it. And the problem is, Tusten was the highest percent of people that have no access, 21% or something like that. And that no access did not include the fact that you didn't have access to it because you couldn't afford to have the stuff run in.
Right.
So you have a double whammy. If they come in, already 21% won't have access at all, period, no matter what happens. And if you can't afford to have access and they put the broadband in, you lose. Because these phone companies and Time Warner, they're not gonna maintain their landlines.
Well, that's a huge concern for me also, because, I mean, just looking at our emergency management plan, that's an issue. Because when Sandy happened, we had nothing. I had no internet, I had no phone, I had nothing
That was
here.
brought up.
Because
And
we were
this
Time
comes
Warner.
in, they're supposed to, we'll do this and we'll make that accommodation and we'll do something to have the Lifeline programs taken over. None of those phone companies that were up there are Time Warner Cable. They were just sitting there like, pouting with their arms crossed because that's gonna cost too much money. They're not gonna do a public service and keep up any kind of alternative service for the people that need the landline type services. They're just gonna drop it and go for the profits. And that's basically what they said at this meeting.
What did,
that's scary.
It
what did they say about at my new house? At my new house, I don't have a landline, I have everything through satellite. What about satellite? Isn't that
They said that it's unreliable satellite, didn't they?
It
With
didn't make their specs as being considered.
clouds.
'Cause it
I've
didn't
never
make-
had a problem.
It doesn't make the 6 and the 1.5. It didn't make those
Right,
requirements.
but then also you
Those
gotta
are
look
upload
at,
speeds.
a couple years ago, I took, they had an all-day seminar on EMPs with the Association of Towns, in the city there. And that's another concern. It's a natural occurrence, it could happen. You look at satellites and anything digital, electronic, an EMP is gonna affect it.
There's a new
So-
technology that was very interesting, and that might be the way of the future, and it's with radio waves. The FCC allows a band of this, but there is a band of that. And so this new company is taking what the FCC is not using, and they're in some way making that available for broadband services. This new company, and they're working on a little town upstate New York, and of course, there were lots of hands that went up and said, we'll volunteer, but I think that's still down the road.
So even if that technology were available, then you're relying on towers, radio towers as well to be up, which we
ASA
also had a
networks.
problem with
Right. What did they call it?
the
White
towers
something?
in Sandy.
Yeah, what the heck was it?
Because we had no radio service as well.
But ASA Networks was the people, is Joe there, Plotkin, and, it's a very experimental technology, and it's all LOS, which doesn't really work all that well
Right.
here. And forget, to put the number of towers that you'd have to cover here with LOS type technology, be prohibitive.
Yeah.
Well, the big thing that they said too was that in order to make it profitable, which is what this whole thing is about,
Right.
you had to have something like 20 people per mile or 20 households per mile in order to make this feasible, and nobody's gonna touch it. We don't have that kind of density here in this county, and so they're not even looking at us when this was brought up with this other company and what they'd done with this little town upstate. They were even backing off and saying, oh, no, well, we can't do this and we can't do that. The bottom line was, we don't have the population density to make it profitable for them to do it. And so they didn't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole, and that's gonna leave, if it goes through, it's gonna leave Tusten and I think a large portion of Sullivan County just out of luck. We're not gonna have contact, and we're not gonna have the emergency contacts.
You know, that also plays back to our comprehensive plan. If you read our comprehensive plan, a lot of the comprehensive plan was about small internet companies, you know, internet service companies. And it's not gonna happen. We need to go back and revisit our comprehensive plan, because you're really back to your blue collar, mom and pop, plumbing, electrical companies sitting here and trying to come back in, you know, foster that type of job creation, because this internet job creation is not gonna happen.
You know, the
I'd
infrastructure's
still
not gonna
like to
be
hear
here
the
for it.
bottom line and where the money comes from with these other people. I don't, you know, everybody says it's money, it's money, it's money. How much money? Is it really unaffordable? I don't know.
If they're telling you at that meeting that they're not willing to invest because it's not profitable, I think the writing's on the wall, James.
They'll invest if they get large government subsidies, that's what they were saying.
The government's broke, that's not
Right.
Well,
happening.
I don't
Why would
know.
they do that?
I mean, it's such,
They were getting, remember they were getting large subsidies for what little bit they did do.
Right.
I would say probably we're gonna have to go back into contract negotiations with Time Warner.
right.
This
Yeah.
is the only leverage we have.
But
Yeah.
Norm, Doug, do you remember they were also saying that people were, the big companies on the dais, they were being told, you know, well, there's government money out there that can subsidize when you're not making the profit here. It's not enough.
I don't think it's enough government money.
It's
You're
not
right,
enough.
Enough to bring them out.
They
They're not
still
willing
want
to go
that
for
big profit, and they're not gonna get it from the government. The
Yeah.
government's not gonna shell that out.
Yeah, even with, offer of subsidies and assistance, and
Nobody
none of
was
them
bidding.
even want to look at the money.
Nobody was bidding on it.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna
Money
ask
and
to,
indifference.
meet with Dick Martinkovic and, I'll also call Aileen Gunther and John Bonasek's office and
Well,
discuss it with
Chris Gibson
them.
was the one who did
Yep,
this.
and
He's
Chris,
the big
yep.
driver there.
Yep,
I don't know, we could be a study of rural America is discriminatory, and once you get the broadband, do you then get wait a second, do you then get the businesses that come because it's available?
But our comprehensive plan is built around this idea, this vision, that's real, that it's gonna be, that it's here, it exists, and it's not, and it doesn't. So we need to go back and revisit that and really look at the rural nature of our community and build a comprehensive plan about the social and cultural aspects of our community, not what we want it to be, but what it is.
The comprehensive plan is what you want it to be, not what it is.
Well, but if it's not feasible, then
Right.
it's not real.
This
You have to have
Okay.
more meat than what you
So-
want it to be.
all right, so I'll contact all our representatives' offices
When
and
we
ask
moved
to
up here, we
speak
lived on
about.
the 10 Mile, we could not get TV
Yeah,
because they needed X amount of people
Yeah.
per. So now, everybody's got TV. It's just a
Not
matter of
everybody.
waiting.
not everybody in Tusten has TV.
No,
They got the satellite. We got a satellite. We got Dish.
Right, but
And-
I'm saying not everybody has cable.
Well, that isn't cable.
A lot of people can't get.
That's a
that.
dish.
Right,
This has to happen through cable, it has to be
Right.
hardwired, Bernie, is what they're trying to say to you.
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so, moving on. Narrowsburg School on the 14-acre parcel purchased by the town through bonding. Discussion. Tony,
You want me to kick this off?
kick it off.
All right, I had a couple of conversations with prior supervisors, and basically, what the gentleman had said to me was, you should try to be in control of your destiny, whether it's
that's what we try to do. Whether we can or not is another subject. But the thing is, in the situation of the Narrowsburg School, which we all know is in the middle of the town, we all know it's been for sale for about 5 years. We know that it's been shuttered for probably more than 8 years. We all know what the appraised value was about 5 years ago. It's basically, we're at a situation, I think, that the town should come to terms with whether the town wants to discuss, first of all, whether the town wants to purchase and have title to that school. I remember Ned, in one of his campaign literature, had said that it's a topic that he would like to bring up, though he also has, I think, during the second step, wanted to possibly salvage it. I would agree on the first step that I think that we want to be in control of our destiny, since that school is right in the middle of town, and we know that interest rates are low, so if we're talking about bonding or financing, I think that it's come time that basically that the townspeople should, whether it's a poll or a straw vote or a referendum, decide whether they want the town to finally take title to the school property, the 14 acres of vacant land that fronts Kirk Road, and also the building. That's how this whole thing started. I don't think that, let me just finish. I don't think that I would be that adamant if the school was, let's say, like DV, which was about 7 or 8 miles outside of Callicoon, but because we know that the location is critical, because it's in the middle of the town would certainly control their destiny and be in control, whether as the landlord and leasing it out, or whether it's salvaging it, or whatever the town wants to do with it in step 2, step 3, or step 4, whether we should finally decide to have negotiations with the school district and purchase that property. So I'd like to hear what everybody else has to say.
I agree.
Yeah, you know, this, and you're right, in one of my campaign flyers, I put that this is one of the most compelling issues that this town faces as a town, and that school is the heart of our town, and if there's another culture, if you will, that moves into that school, it could change the whole culture of our community, and
Well,
I can talk, this is my time. So, you know, it's I think it's probably the biggest potential threat to what the future of this community has. And if you take that school and let's say the town buys it, and now I'm looking at Tony got some really good information about the cost to run that school, just to keep it in a state it's in a year. It's over $100,000 a year. And this is, I mean, that's huge. So I think that the only real potential outlet for that school is to basically salvage it. You know, they spent $5 million. We spent $5 million fixing that school up. Get some salvage companies in here. Look at that before you do anything. See what the salvage potential is of that school. Put a bid together, either privately or as a town. And on this board myself, I would not want to have that school perpetuate. I would say if we buy it, the only way I would vote to buy it is to have it removed, salvaged, and put those 2 lots, then we have, or 1 big lot, and then we have the 14 acres across the street that can be used for community assets, and get rid of the building. Because the building, I think, is the peril of this community.
I just want to make, one thing I didn't say was that we have the building totals here. I think that she had sent the 2011, 2012 expenses when they drained the building of fuel. Building totals are about $37,000 a year just to maintain that building right now. Back when it was heated, it was $77,000 per year. Okay, that's what our liability would be. So if the town was to purchase that, insurance, mowing, plowing.
it's almost a 6% increase in taxes
So that's what it's.
to maintain it.
Right, it's another $37,000 annually that the school district pays out of your tax dollars to maintain that school or that campus.
And that's without any major structural repairs. I mean, if you need the roof starts leaking or whatever like that, and how much is it,
There are already issues there.
really? So now you have
Yes.
mold issues
Yeah.
on top of everything. Carol, what is the
What?
sewer and water district, charge the school per year?
I don't have those figures in front of
84.
me.
Oh, is it in there?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's like, sewer and water, she's got
There you go.
$8,500 a year.
Okay, I see it, okay, thanks.
Somebody,
Excuse me, may I say something?
Morgan?
I think that's all well and good, considering that the building remains empty once purchased. But there's a lot of creative ideas about turning that into a community
resource.
factory of sorts, if I can say that as a metaphor. A factory where there's several bodies of businesses can utilize those spaces, the arts community, the farming community, the industrial community, technical community. There's a lot of concern and creative ideas that are conversing around that building, and let's not rule that out. That once in this decision-making process, then let's have some kind of open session to make public comments about the ideas that could come forth and put that building to good use in this community.
Before this goes anywhere, I mean, I won't vote to pass anything unless we have, at least, at the very least, a public hearing on the idea, whether to move forward on it or not, and I wouldn't rule out having a straw poll.
Right.
We cannot afford it. That's
Then,
all it amounts
that's
to.
my issue, is we
And
can't
second
afford
of
it.
all, it should be left in the private sector. We should not be venturing into this. That's
think
the
it-
school's business, keep it with the school.
Well, the school wants to sell it.
Well, let them sell it. Wherever it goes,
No, so-
it's not my business.
So you're saying that the town should have, really no interest in
The
that
interest will come
property?
in, the interest will come in that property when they come in front of the zoning or whatever, and they have to get their plans approved.
But you would be opposed to the town
Yes,
purchasing that property?
definitely opposed to it.
Okay.
Eileen?
I would go for purchasing it, well,
Talk louder.
I want a school back, but I guess nobody else does, so.
I think it should go up to a referendum so the people, all of the people in the town can, you have a menu of things that can be done and see what those people think about it. And if they voice their opinion of that's what they would like to do, whether it's to raise the, what do we do with,
Right.
what do we do with a couple of empty lots?
That's
What are we
I'm
gonna do with?
suggesting, Bernie. It wouldn't be a legal referendum because it's not legal to go out to referendum for that specific issue. It'd be legal to go out on referendum if we were expending the funds.
Right.
But just to look at something,
No.
it's not we can't legally go out for a referendum. So what I would suggest is either a public hearing or go out with do a straw poll, have it as you would, hold it as you would a referendum.
Whatever's legal.
Why don't you
And-
get a business plan first? I mean, get a business plan so that you understand. Ned has one idea, Tony has another idea. Maybe you could combine them. Maybe the town should purchase it, put it on the market for 2 years. If that doesn't work, then tear it down. I don't know, but have a business plan so you can present that to the people so that it isn't just their gut feeling, do you want it or don't you want it?
Personally, I'd like to have a public hearing. I'd like to hear what the citizens have to say about this topic.
The only problem, I'd rather have the only problem with the citizens that come are a very small
Well, that's
percentage
why I'm
of the
suggesting a
town.
straw poll.
A
Run it
straw
like a
poll would be-
referendum.
Yes,
And use our old voting machine.
yes.
Have election inspectors like you would, and advertise it. Give people time enough. It would have to be done. You'd have to accept absentee straw ballots. I guess I would run it just the same way,
I agree.
but it wouldn't be legally binding
No, well,
because it's not a referendum.
I'd like to say something. Town can't afford it. It needs to go back on the tax roll. The town's pushing 40% tax exempt now.
Yeah.
You don't need to buy another white elephant.
like somebody said before, if this was out of town, it wouldn't make a bloody bit of difference.
Right.
But it's a major point of our town. And the least we can do is try.
Well, wait, Bernie, if an educational facility buys that, that's gonna be off the tax roll as well, right? Right?
You have no control
Right.
over
But,
it.
correct me if I'm wrong, if an educational organization buys that, right, nonprofit, that's gonna be off the tax roll as well.
Well, no, doesn't have to go, isn't that, hasn't that zoning dropped, would have to go back before the zoning
We'd have
board,
to go
wouldn't it?
back to zoning, because it's not a school anymore.
No, but if you, wait, if you look at the zoning right now, it's multi-use, so it could be used as a school. Yes, it could be
Why?
well, because it says that.
Multi-use is
Right.
not a school.
It can be used as a
Pandora's
school.
box here, real quick.
Oh, yeah.
Big, and I'm not comfortable in some of this Pandora box. Because we're leaving ourselves open.
Leave ourselves
So-
open for what, Norm?
Yeah,
On what uses and everything else, it's not,
school can be anywhere in the town.
There is no specific school zone.
Right, so, but they would have to go to the zoning board?
They have to come to the planning board, but if it's gonna go to a school, it's very hard for the planning board to turn it down.
Right. Right.
No matter where it is.
Because it'll fall under Rapala, and that's, you don't even wanna touch that.
It's gonna be up to tax
Religious
rolls.
and
Not
Plus, it's gonna be a white house.
Not
It's off the
necessarily.
tax rolls already, so
Yes,
what's
it
the
would.
difference?
Yes, it would, unless we sold it, and
Right,
then
exactly.
what's the sense
We
of
just don't want
selling
it to go off the
Well,
tax rolls and on,
The school
into our
can't sell
pocket.
it. I don't think the town's gonna
Well,
be any
it's
more
never-
successful.
I think
than the
your
school.
idea about raising it is probably the only thing that's gonna fly, because, like you said, who's gonna buy that building? What, so we make a big basketball court, I don't know, I mean,
Well, one of
Who's
the
gonna
things
play
that
it?
people have always said is, what don't we have in this town? We have lack of parking. Okay, now I don't wanna sound
Okay.
facetious
one
here,
big
but the
parking
point, but the, isn't that true? It says it in
Build
the
it, make 'em
comprehensive
come.
plan. We
if
don't
we
have-
get to 14 acres, that we can do something with, and we'll have the parking to go down to 14
I have
acres.
serious doubts that
That's
they even
right.
give
It's
us
expensive
entertain the
parking
idea of
lot.
14 acres.
You don't think that you
I
as
don't
a
think they're
town
gonna
board
wanna
have a,
do the whole thing, I think they're gonna wanna hang on
it's
to
your
the 14.
responsibility to help to frame the future of the town?
I do.
Yes, I do,
That's why
of
we
course,
bring,
I do.
that's why I thought we would bring this up for
That's
discussion.
why it is our business.
I threw it out there in the flyer, Tony and the whole board now, we're all talking about it, so let's do
I was
something
talking
here.
about it 3 years ago,
And the train trestle.
and nothing happened.
We've
Now-
been
now all of
talking about it
sudden
for a
it's
long
big-
time.
a
Jane
big
and I
push.
spent, what, a year and a half on a committee
Yes,
talking
yes,
about this, years ago, so.
We did.
Now all of a
Well,
sudden,
let's move forward, let's put out the options in a straw poll. Carol, wouldn't you have to, for a straw poll, wouldn't you have to come up with like the different possibilities for the building and the cost?
Correct, that's what Jane's saying, come
Yeah,
out
some
with,
kind of business plan.
Yes, there's gotta be a plan, you've gotta
You
say
can't- you
this,
can't
this,
just
and
say,
if
"Do you
they're
want it or
willing to
don't
do
you
this.
want it?" What does it
100%,
mean to
100%.
Okay, good. I will work on that.
okay,
I'll work on that with you.
Okay.
there you go.
Tony wants to work on it?
Yeah.
I'll work on it, but the one thing I wanna say to Jane is that it's, what the public is gonna ask is, how much is it gonna cost me?
Right.
How much are my taxes are gonna go up? It's,
Exactly.
I'm not, don't get to the second, what it's gonna be, it's, once the town has it, this is how much it's gonna cost. It's costing them $37,000 a year to mow the lawn, for insurance and all that. $37,000 is a fixed cost, it's probably gonna go up. So it costs $40,000 a year to hold that, and then what's it gonna cost? Say it's being offered by Mr. Hector back in, I see him in the back, he's the listing broker on this, for $700,000, depending upon what the agreed upon price would be between a buyer and a seller, then how much is it gonna cost to bond it over a period of what, 20, 25 or 30 years? The good thing
You
is
have to
that.
look at it, I don't know the answers to anything
But no,
you're saying.
I would run those numbers so that the public has an understanding what it's gonna cost them as far as their
Right.
tax liability.
And
We
I would
also-
request, go ahead.
We also would have to know who would be willing to be part of the, whether it's part of the school, part of the different companies who are willing to buy a room in there, or rent a room.
You also have to look at maintaining that building. You get green mold in there. And, or black mold, whatever you call it. Black mold, and, I mean, you're talking a major, that's a major issue.
If it's there before it's sold, it's the responsibility of the school to get rid of it.
Okay, let's say we got rid of it, and now the roof is, in the next storm, and we have the black mold back again. My point is that, and then also, now the town owns this building, and there's a lot of people now that are come up with a lot of very, very artistic, colorful ideas as to what the community should do with this building. Meanwhile, the taxpayers are holding the carrying the cost of it, and all of these other, let's call them special interest groups now, can enjoy this specific, the amenities of this building and the whole community is not gonna be participating, so that is a whole nother discussion. Myself, I don't know if I would vote, I mean, I definitely wanna listen to the people and get some ideas out there, but my inclination is that the building needs to be raised.
Okay,
Done.
so you and I are on the committee, let's not take more time, you're buying lunch.
You got it.
The only thing I'd request is when you come up with these figures, include not only how much will it cost, what, if this money has to be raised by taxes, how much of an impact in your tax bill is that gonna reflect? Say, $40,000 to maintain it as is, that's a 2% increase just to maintain the building. To buy it and bond it at X amount of dollars and X amount of interest per year over how many years, this is gonna cost you how much of a percentage of an increase in your tax bill?
And Carol, the third option is to buy it and salvage it immediately.
Well, right,
And
and
then
what
get that
impact is
return,
that gonna
boom.
have?
Then your bond is paid for immediately.
Well, if you can make that much in,
That's what you would do that before you bought the building, is my
Yeah.
point.
My last
So-
comment
What
is,
could you
I don't
salvage
think the
out of
town
that?
should become a
To-
landlord.
All those.
I mean,
I
but
don't either.
it's gonna cost quite a bit of money to take it
Well,
down.
they pay, the salvage companies come in, will pay you for the product. All the bricks, all the metal, all the air conditioners, the heating
Okay.
system.
so Jane, Ned, and Tony will be working on the
We'll start that next week.
proposal.
I think you have a problem in about, it's
You have to
about
move
6
forward.
weeks that you have to have a different member on there, cause they can have a quorum.
Nothing's happening.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's
Think
right.
about that.
Yeah,
Sad,
the
sad.
three of you won't be able to work on this after December
January.
31st, yeah,
January.
so,
Okay,
yeah.
quick.
Okay. The
I'll
contract
replace
with
her
the
in January.
Department of State.
Sorry?
I'll replace her in January.
There you go.
Department of State, contract. That's, I still haven't heard back from them whether or not we're going to be able to repurpose it definitely or not. They had made the recommendation that I hold off. Then they made a recommendation that I sign it, then they made a recommendation, well, hold off. So I think if we just sign it, accept the grant as is, and then if we can't use it for this, and if we, can't repurpose the funding without any taxpayer dollars, if we can't repurpose, I'm hoping that if we can't repurpose all of the funding, that we can at least repurpose half of it, part of it, and get the deck started.
And
The
return
only
the
way I'll
rest.
hold that is simply, like you said, is that it only can be repurposed for the purpose
Correct.
of fixing and repairing
Right,
the deck or
right,
replacing
because
the
as
deck.
it stands right now, we can't,
There's no point having that money sitting around to have them on our
we
case.
can't
'cause
fulfill
we
this
can't do it.
contract
Right.
anyway, because
That's
the
what I
state
said.
won't let us work under the bridge,
I
so.
In the resolution, I want us to, it only can be done for the deck, and that's it.
And just to
says that.
resurface it?
No, probably to replace it.
No, replacing the deck.
If we're gonna
It would be
start
with,
thinking about replacing it.
stone and, porous
No, just
paper.
make
But you
sure.
should have that, whatever that is, I guess, isn't that in the
Well-
architect's plans, right?
Yes, and he's actually doing that right now. He's working on that stage, and he'll be having estimates.
But didn't he say there was an issue when they did the soil borings, there was an issue?
Yes, but nothing that can't be overcome. So
What is, but what is
Well,
that, does that mean a lot of
yes.
extra costs or something?
that's
Driving piling, you know it's gonna be
yeah.
extra.
Yeah, boy.
So, yeah.
Okay.
So I had a question of the board, remember I had the email, so it's a
Yeah.
$106,000 grant, state grant, matching 106, which is in-kind services, so there's no money that's being used from taxpayers' money.
Correct.
It's all, the matching on that
It's
is
all in kind.
bluestone,
Yep.
labor,
Yep.
architectural, okay.
And if we can't come up with part of the matching with in-kind services, then we don't get that much
That's-
matching
It
from
goes
the
down.
state. We just don't receive it. So, so I just like the authorization to be able to sign this.
I'll move it.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Well, why don't you read the motion back, you know what I mean?
Okay.
So we understand that
Motion to
it's-
authorize the supervisor to sign a contract for $106,000 grant with the New York State Department of State with the intent to repurpose the funding for the deck area. All of the town's share of the 106 matching funds will come from in-kind services listed in the grant.
We're just in-kind services.
Right.
I'm moving
Yes,
that.
with, in-kind services.
Could be
correct,
because
yeah.
it's changed,
Right, it
the
may
grant
change.
has changed.
Right. Okay, you moving it?
Yes.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Motion to adopt the 2014 budget as amended.
I have a question on the budget. Who is our constable?
Constable is, that's under the line, we pay, for the state police barracks, we pay the rent on the state police barracks to the ambulance.
Right.
But it has to come out under that line,
Yeah.
that line
We
item.
pay the rent?
Yes.
That's our constable?
Yes, that retains the state police services within the township. If we didn't pay that, they could easily go elsewhere, and then we wouldn't have any coverage, and then we would probably be back to our own constabulary, which costs considerably more than the
No, we
rent on
have
the
coverage, we
barracks.
just are not gonna be paying for it. I think Mr. Burkle has to learn that.
Is there a grant available
There are
for
other
that?
towns that should be paying money.
Yeah.
If he wants his
Is there a
increase,
grant?
Is there a
No.
grant for that? No.
Well, he didn't, excuse me, Norm, he didn't get the increase.
yeah, he didn't get anything back, but if he wants any increases, whatever we got in the budget, he's gonna have to go look at someplace else.
Ambulance.
But that's not an issue now, right?
No,
Yeah,
not
we had
initially.
increased that line item, but not,
Not for what he
yeah,
was,
no, not for what he requested,
that ain't
no.
gonna happen.
No. Getting too fancy.
Okay, so I'll make the motion to adopt the 2014 budget as amended.
I'll second it.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye, I'm opposed.
Motion carried. Public comment. Jane.
Is there an engineer report? What happened to them?
Oh, we can sit down and discuss that.
Right here.
Oh,
Yeah,
so,
I gotta have a little discussion on that.
I got an
Save-
extra
save a
copy
little
here,
of your
Jane,
money.
wanna give you one?
Yeah, there's one here too.
That's yours.
No, mine's.
Jane, we just got it, I haven't even read it.
oh,
Yeah.
I see, nobody, I see.
Oh, I read it.
So we don't know yet.
I just got it.
Okay. So this will be a topic next month probably?
No? Oh,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
sorry.
I just didn't know if it got lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, I'd
No,
actually
no.
like to make this on our recess meeting as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is not lost.
Any other public comment? Bruce?
I have some question, or a question. I hear there's a demolition going on down in Luxton Lake, like some properties and
Correct.
how do you get on the list to be, recommended for removal of these things?
Building departments.
Because a couple of people that I know that are out of towners have been recommended. What about in-town people?
It would be something that's been identified by a building department as, a safety hazard, and
I understand that,
Right.
why they're being demolished, but, there's contractors in our own town, like, I'm on the same page as Ned is here, you got people in our own town working for work, looking for work. It was very similar to the flagpole deal, where nobody knew until people were told by outsiders, and it was outsiders doing the work out of the town, and there's people in our own township that need work.
Gary, is there a list?
There's no list of demos, people that do demos. That's something the town's gonna have to hire somebody to do.
yeah,
Somebody hasn't been hired yet.
no.
All right, but it should
No.
probably start with inside our township, I would think, that would be, and just like this hiring of some guy from Pennsylvania makes no sense to me, because there's people in our own town that need work. That to me is wrong, but that's my thought.
No, what's happening, is the town paying for these, or the town's paying for them, and the property owners get it on their tax bills, right?
Correct.
All right, so what's the process, where are we at with our process?
We are in the process of, the board approved to have the demo done. The property owner was sent notification that it was gonna be done within a certain time frame. And once that time frame is over, which is, I don't have the exact date in my head, then we have to get somebody to do it.
We should be soliciting for a
Will we
bid
put
then
out
for
for
somebody to be doing this demo as now, probably getting an advertisement out for it.
If we're worried
Right.
about, the time frame, yeah.
Yeah, I think we should be that.
Definitely.
But I think you should pick out your own township first.
Right.
Well, you have to, well, you
we
can't
have
do
to
that.
by
for-
law
Right.
I
Take,
understand that, but also when you're town board, you would think you would take out of your own town to support your own people. That's what I'm getting at.
Well, it's gotta be, if
Right,
it's town.
we're regulated by state and federal
I
laws that
understand that.
state that we,
But you can also have your own pick and choose of who you want to do it, don't you?
no.
No,
Low bidder.
Low bidder.
No,
So
that would
should
be
put
illegal.
out to the people in your town.
yes.
You know?
We have to make sure as a board that the
People in
local
the town
people
know
know.
it.
Absolutely.
Well, if it's advertised in the paper, then the local contractor should know. If they don't respond, then
But
they
the
don't respond.
recommendations shouldn't be being made that, oh, you should use this guy, or you should use that guy, you know, that shouldn't,
There's
you
been
know.
no recommendations made thus far.
Qualification.
Well, that's not by word that's out on the street,
I
basically.
tend to disagree with that as well.
But isn't that a state law? It's low bidder, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
It's low bidder.
Low bidder and qualifications
Right.
and, right.
I read
Well,
the
if this-
local
But
papers,
what-
I've seen nothing
listen to
about
what-
it.
You don't have to go with low bid.
all bids.
What I'm hearing is this, though, before it even gets to where the town is involved, that somebody in our realm here is referring the let's say the property owner to another source to have their demolition done. That's what I'm hearing. Is that right?
Right, yeah.
I heard the same thing as well.
Okay. So we don't want that to
I have
happen.
not had contact with this particular property owner at all. He hasn't contacted the town in response to any letter I sent him, so I don't know where this information is coming
It's just,
from.
I'm just putting it out there, this is what I've heard, that's all I'm saying. It's my feeling that people from our own township should be getting more of the work than out of town.
Okay, point taken. Any other public comment?
Excuse me 1 minute. We have a list of contractors. Now that we're doing the demolitions, why don't we have some, on the list of local contractors to put demolitions? And then get people in the township that do demolitions and the homeowner has that information.
I have no problem with that.
I would imagine you would.
But
Maybe
where,
also
where
when
you
we
would take the
advertise
town,
them,
the person
go a
for the
little bit
town
bigger
would be
than
if
the
it's
legal
equal
notice.
bids.
Well,
And
yeah,
then-
of course,
We
but
got three
All right,
people
go ahead.
talking.
You also have to take into consideration, as a town, we have to consideration that if your bid is a tad higher than the other bid, but it's gonna cost us more in town because the other party has to travel further and they're charging us for travel time, that all that has to be taken into consideration.
definitely.
Well, doesn't the homeowner have the option of having it done himself through his own contractor? Or is it a matter of they don't even get back to you on it, and then
Well, if they don't respond, like in this case,
Then
the
you
the
have the
homeowner has
option
not
to do it.
responded, the town then has the authority to demo the building. Nor-
A little bigger ads maybe than the legal notice, it'll catch the
Yeah,
eye maybe of
yes.
some people that we were soliciting. You know, we've
They
done
just
that.
cost a lot more money.
I know
They
it costs a
do.
lot
They-
more.
They're
But in
very, they're
fairness-
very expensive.
They're very expensive,
Yeah,
but maybe we can
fairness.
figure out something a little bit.
That's why we use the legal ads and every other town does the same thing.
Right.
You know,
Carol, I can, if they're trying to get
some
Okay.
some of the townships I work with, with the sewer, I've bid on them, so that you automatically, in other words, if you're on this list that we're gonna make up, Gary, the town automatically sends my companies a notification that project's going out to bid again, as well as advertising in the newspapers, and that's what we should be doing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ed,
I don't know if everybody's aware of the fact that if you're in the contracting business and you move over to demolition, it's a complete new insurance policy you have to carry for demolition. That's the most dangerous job in construction there is. And the policies are astronomical.
And I beg you, Jeff, I did a $250,000 job for the Department of Transportation in Poughkeepsie about 6 years ago. My insurance didn't change. My workers' comp class did for the individuals working there. But my insurance didn't as far as liability insurance at all.
so we would like a resolution to, pardon?
Another,
Oh, go ahead, Juliet.
Very different business about the Christmas tree for the town decor. I have submitted an estimate to you about the potential of the street tree on the deck.
Right.
And I was wanting to know if we could move ahead with that. And
That was in the bills this evening?
no, I mean in the bill, in the agenda.
Yeah, that was approved in the bills. There was a voucher put in for that. Yep.
Trees. So I just didn't know
You're
if
good.
that's okay, and so I can pick up a check.
Yeah, I believe it was $300.
So, okay, so I would redid the invoice for you then,
Right.
because it was 350.
Yep.
All right, good, thank you.
So we need a resolution to advertise for the demolition of the building?
for the guys, I
Do
think.
you wanna make up, specs with that and get that to Carol? Okay, I make a motion to authorize the building inspector to advertise for, well, the town clerk to advertise for quotes, right? It'll be quotes, not
Quotes.
bids. Quotes for,
Demolition.
demolition of the, can you give me the specifics on that property? The building at section block and lot number,
16.-19-4,
owned by,
Noble Sissel.
thank you. Gary, I'll get you the specifics for the ad. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, consent agenda. Anybody have any other problem with the consent agenda?
Nope.
Okay, can I have a motion to move items number 25 through 35 with the exclusion of item number 34?
Well, I just had a question, just
Yes.
a quick question. On that 27, because it was 26 and 27, it says motion approves expenditures for newly elected officials. right?
Yes.
And then the next motion is for 2 officials. to
Oh, no, no,
attend-
that's the Association of Towns training in February. Do you wanna make more? Do you wanna authorize more people to go, or just 2? We did 2 last year because we wanted to be,
Motion to approve the expenditures for newly elected officials to
to attend
attend.
the Association of Towns training, that's held in
Oh,
January.
in Albany.
Yes,
Oh,
yep,
okay,
sorry,
got
I
it.
should have clarified that, in
That's
January.
26 is in Albany,
Right,
27 is in New
is in
York.
February in New York. And then for the newly elected town clerk to
I would like to
attend.
go. So there might be 3 people that couldn't go, so that's why we're gonna have the discussion.
Okay.
I would like to go. Would you like to go?
Which one, the one for the New York Station, the one in New York City is the dog and pony show.
No, there are a lot of good courses, but the one in Albany is also good.
That's
Let
one
other
I would
people
like to
go.
go.
I've gone for a lot of years.
Right.
So, what did you just say, what did Ned
Norm, are
just
you
say?
gonna go? No. All right, so Norm is,
Wait a second, I need to go.
Ned would probably like to go to the Albany one.
You're going,
But
kiddo.
not to the New York City one.
Okay,
I need to go someplace.
yes,
'cause
you
I
need to
don't know
go
what to do.
to Albany
Albany.
as well, the town clerk has to go to Albany, and,
Oh, so
that's in January.
Do you know the dates?
I don't, if you go online to, New York State Association of Towns, you can look it up, it's on the right-hand side of their website. It's for newly elected officials.
Is it going February?
That's the one in Albany?
I wanna,
Yes, that's in Albany,
I'm
and
gonna go
that'll
to New
be
York
held in
City.
January.
You know, the
I was
funny
just
thing
gonna
is,
say,
I
we
went to
could
their
share a
website, I
room
didn't
if
see
we-
anything for the Albany thing
Oh,
this year.
yeah, there is.
I have no
Yeah.
problem.
Because they do it every other
My
year.
son has an
Yes.
apartment down the state, so.
Yep.
Oh, right.
He's going to Hunter College. No.
Okay, so,
Well, don't limit your
He's living
your
large.
board
How's he
that's
doing?
gonna go if you got more than one person.
okay, so we'll
going.
just,
He's wrestling
for.
Anybody that shows an interest,
Yeah, that's all.
any board member that shows an
For-
interest.
For officials, take out 2.
Town officials to attend the Association of Towns training.
Right.
And the other thing we gotta do is, everybody good with Monday, December 30th? We can do that during the day, we can do that in the evening, what's your
For what
pleasure?
now? Where are you?
It's just the end of the year meeting to pay the bills.
December 30th?
Karen, you're good with that? I didn't even ask you, I'm sorry. It's, Monday the 30th. We can do it during the day.
I'm okay with it.
Everybody available that day?
Yeah, fine.
10 a.m.?
10 a.m.
So you'll send me that and I'll get that on the
10
calendar.
a.m.?
Okay, so,
Thanks.
Tusten.
okay. Okay, so can I have a motion to adopt items numbers 25 through 35 with the exception of, I'm sorry, through 36?
How many hours is Mr. Sparling
Wait.
gonna work? A week?
Hold on a second, Bernie, I'm in the middle of making a
No,
motion.
I mean, because you're talking about those articles right now.
Okay,
It's only.
yeah, it's only in the event that Gary is gone and Jocelyn can't handle it. And
Oh, so
Jocelyn was
just
gone.
like,
It's only when
he
necessary.
just comes
He
in
might be
and signs in,
2
and then
hours.
if he's there for 4 hours, he
Right.
gets
4
$25
hours, right.
an hour for
Correct.
just coming, is he going out?
No,
on-
it'd be for an inspection or something like that, that Jocelyn wouldn't be available for.
Or in other words, he's not on the clock all the time?
No. He's not sitting at the desk and getting $25 an hour, no.
Good point, Bernie. Good point.
Yeah, no, it's on an as-needed on-call basis.
He always makes good points.
Yeah.
It's just delivery.
Yes, he does.
And this, yeah, I'm making this, we're appointing Dave to be the acting building inspector in Mr. Emmerbeck's absence, for any time, not just during his.
Did he have a problem
Christmas
over in
vacation.
Neversink with a gun or something?
He did.
Is that gonna reflect it all on this, position?
As long as it doesn't hit me.
Well, I mean, you got your own guns, but he did have a problem over there.
He did.
So how could we hire him then?
I don't think it's gonna.
code enforcement
Yeah,
officer.
he's Lumberland's
Well,
code enforcement
I
officer, I don't
mean,
think it's gonna affect his,
Well,
his
he
duties
had-
here.
He had a problem, and we're gonna have the same problem, or what?
I wouldn't expect to, I'll speak with him about it.
He did have one, so I
Right.
thought I'd protect the town in case something happens.
Thank
We
you,
know
Bernie.
about it already.
Just don't put your
Okay.
gun on
Carol,
him,
just to expand
and you
upon
won't have
Bernie's,
to pull
who
one
would
in
call
your-
Dave in? Would it be Jocelyn or you?
Either one of us, I can authorize Jocelyn to do that, I mean, just, you know.
Somebody has,
Gary will put it on his voicemail as well to, call Dave if an inspection's needed.
I'll keep Carol in the future.
So people, you know, so if Dave gets a call from an individual that needs an inspection, then he'll
That'd be
be
a problem.
coming up. So,
I'm trying to avoid them.
okay, so motions 25 through 36, with the exception of 34.
All right, not a problem.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Excuse me.
Opposed?
Who made the motion?
I did.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Board comment. Ned?
good meeting. I'm glad we're taking on the school, and I think that's crucial. That's, I think, is the biggest, as I've said, I don't know how many times now, that is the biggest, task that we, as a board, need to undertake, and, you know, it's gonna definitely steer the, future of this town, and what happens with that school, so it's a good thing we're doing. And I'd suggest, now that we know about this, the issue we have with the, broadband, that we go back and revisit our comprehensive plan, and I'd like to see it steered more towards the, blue-collar businesses of this community.
Okay, Eileen? And just one comment, don't anybody leave until these are all signed. There's 8 copies of these for the water and sewer,
You have to all
uncollected
sign.
sewer rents. Just make sure you don't sign in, supervisor. But they have to all be signed by all individuals. So Eileen, any comments?
Oh, ma'am, it's a good meeting.
Okay, Tony?
No, I commented throughout the meeting, so I'm good.
We know.
Norm?
Commented out.
And for myself, any other public comment?
Last one. When people don't pay their water bill, why don't they turn the water off? Why don't they turn the water off? Like the gas company or the electric company, you don't pay the bill, they come and they turn the electric off. Now, you got all these bills that people owe, and they're still in the house using the water and the sewer. Turn it off. That's how you get somebody's attention.
You can re-levy on their properties, that's what happens, it gets re-levied on your property tax bill.
But I mean, we need the money right away.
We're okay. That's the way to do it. You can't. What if you had little kids in the house and you had hard times and they
All
turned the
right,
water
then
off?
you have to file a grievance, like the electric company does, because somebody can't remember to pay the bill. You got to have somebody else get the notice before they come and turn it off. We don't want to harm anybody, but a lot of people don't pay their water bill, so they can put it on their taxes, and then they can deduct the entire amount on their income tax. You get a $500 bill that you don't pay, it goes on your taxes, so then you got an extra $500 that you can declare.
But the towns, the water and sewer districts never out the money because when it gets re-levied, it comes back to
Not
the
right
town.
away.
No, not right away, but we will be made whole, by next April.
And
So-
we get
You're a
interest.
vicious
Once it
man.
gets re-levied,
They
Bernie,
pay their bills.
but the town's made whole for the entire thing. So the sewer district, water and sewer districts are made whole by the county. So, any other comment? Okay, I will move that we recess this meeting to Is the 21st all right with everybody?
21st, when is that?
It's a Thursday morning, I believe, 11 a.m.
I'll check the calendar, Carol.
Well, we can meet upstairs as well.
11:21
Yeah.
at 11 at
Yeah. Huh? The 21st at 11 a.m. Good with everybody?
Yeah.
11? Yes. For the purpose of discussing the engineer report on the building and the emergency management plan.
And Carol, you'll get us a copy of that?
Yep. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Don't leave until you sign these.